So Ortiz will pitch to the Diamondbacks here in Wednesday night baseball, second half of the double dip. Glad you could join us. The sun's still on right center field, as you can see. It's been a sellout on the Monday Memorial Day game, which the Giants won 7-3. A thrilling game last night, 1-0 in 10 innings, won by Menino Santiago, a guy we'll talk about, a guy who, as a young pup, was a teammate of yours at the San Diego Padres, and it's almost like he's found the fountain of youth.
I'm telling you it is. I was talking to him before the game today, and he's just thrilled to still be playing, and he seems like he's a lot more productive, a lot more happier. And I don't know if that's a Barry Bonds thing that's rubbed off on a lot of these guys, but talking to him today, he's really excited about getting the opportunity to play a lot and being productive.
And he's called great games for pitchers like Russ Ortiz, and we're underway. Craig Counsell looks at strike one from Ortiz with David Bell in on the grass at third base. Counsell is one of those guys that you look at the numbers at the end of every year and you go, all right. And then you realize, and been an integral part of two of the most thrilling World Series that we can remember. 97 with Florida and last year with Arizona. I mean, without him, maybe neither the Marlins nor the Diamondbacks win.
I was going to say, without Counsell last year, I don't believe they get there. I mean, he was that big a player for them.
And he knows we're talking about him with the base hit of the middle, Tony. Craig Counsell hustling all the way. And so the Diamondbacks are in business. Counsell played, as you point out, was the second base. Jay Bell went down last year, kind of took that role over for him, but then with Matt Williams out as a third. Here's the Giants defense with Rich Aurelia on the DL. That means Ramon Martinez is playing short, so a little bit of an experience, although Martinez can play all the infield positions. And Barry Bonds made a game-saving catch in the 9th inning last night of a scoreless game. By the way, he can still play left.
Yeah, he can still do a lot of things, still. And the thing is, we'll get into later when he comes up to the plate. I mean, he can beat you with his glove, with his arm, with his legs.
Showing bunt is Junior Spivey. Spivey is 27 years of age from Oklahoma City. He really has opened some eye. A lot of people say he should be an all-star this year, even though he's not on the ballot.
He's gotten off to a great start. And he's a guy that can move the ball around. He's hitting with some power. He's got 6 home runs already and 24 RBIs. So he's got a year under his belt, too. And sometimes that makes a big difference, getting a chance to be out there on a regular basis and showing people what you can do. And this year, I think now that's not particularly the case now. They know what he can do. They're getting an opportunity to play on a regular basis, and now it's about establishing himself.
Ortiz missed 1-1. These teams played 2 in Arizona last split. Play a 4-game series here in San Francisco. And then they're underway. They play each other, of course, as all division teams do, 19 times. Breaking ball. Ortiz has had, I want to say, control problems, because that means as if he's like wild all over the place. But Tony, he issues a lot of walks, and if he's going to become a premier pitcher, that's the one area where he's made some improvement. But he needs to make more. Right?
Yeah, especially in this situation where when he goes from the stretch, this is where he usually takes a lot of time and tries to be too deliberate.
Inside corner, just one plate umpire Wally Bell, 2-2.
And guys in scoring position, guys on base in particular, I mean, he just takes a little bit more, too much time. It's pretty good fastball right there by Ortiz. But when he had his big year, he didn't pitch a lot from the stretch. I mean, he came out and pretty much dominated the National League. And the last couple of years, though, these kind of situations where guys get on base, I think, going a little bit too slow.
Misses inside, so now a full count. And Brenly giving his signs to base coach Eddie Rodriguez.
It's a good situation for Arizona to try to put the pressure on the Giants right away. Last night's game was 1-0. This is an opportunity to play hit and run.
There goes Counsell, and the ball 4. So Ortiz starts shakily, if you will, a single and a walk. And now here is Luis Gonzalez, who 57 home runs last year, 10 thus far this year. Gonzo became, well, he became an all-star. He became a household word last year.
What a year. What a year he had. And, you know, he's another one of those guys that after he played 6 or 7 years, I think he started to understand, you know, that he really had to understand what he needed to do at the plate and how he needed to get in position. Because like a lot of these guys, I think as he's gotten older, he's actually gotten a whole lot better. And now he's one of the best in the game.
Ortiz misses this one as well. So now Santiago will go out and talk with Russ Ortiz. And Santiago's really become a leader, as you pointed out. He got to know this pitching staff in a hurry. I mean, he caught 133 games last year. It was a godsend.
He did. And,
so I mean, not that Ortiz is a veteran guy, but he's been around. What is he telling him here that's not obvious?
Well, I think the obvious thing here is the pace slowed down as soon as Counsell got on base. And, you know, you got to trust your stuff, and you got to trust your guy behind the plate and go after these guys. And it looks like right now he's trying to be careful. And I think a lot of that stems because of who they're facing, Curt Schilling tonight.
Ortiz in there with a strike. Maybe he knows that, you know, that the Houston-St. Louis game is about to be over. He wants to keep things, you know, he doesn't want anybody to miss Bonds' first inning back. It's very nice of Russ to do that for us. But in the meantime, he might get his team behind by 3 runs, and that's not that nice.
Not with Curt Schilling pitching.
No. Almost the way it's gone this year, that's almost enough. Breaking ball misses inside. 2-1 to Gonzo. Counsell is at second. Junior Spivey is at first. In the top of the first, Arizona looking to rattle Russ Ortiz right out of the gates. Good pitch there. A lot of guys slow down as soon as someone gets on.
Some guys do. You know, I think your veteran guys, your guys who are confident, your Maddox, Schilling, Johnson, guys get on base, it doesn't really seem to bother them. But I think you know, a guy like Ortiz, as a player, I noticed right away as soon as guys get on, he kind of slowed down, slow his game plan down a little bit.
Ball gets away from Santiago, and diving into third is Counsell. Spivey up to second. And so not only is the count 3-2 to Gonzalez, but now there are 2 men in scoring position. And that one just, Benny does a good job of blocking it, but that had spin up and over his. It looked like he expected that to bounce toward the plate, and it bounced away. We'll do it again. Mark Grace is on deck. So another lefty after Gonzalez. Well, when you're coming into him, I mean, Mark Grace is not like he's any bargain.
No.
Next.
Not in these situations when there's ducks on the pond. And to me, you know, we've been talking about Ortiz. One of the telltale signs to what I'm talking about, taking his time. He's thrown 15 pitches. Diamondbacks hitters have only swung at 2. The base hit by Counsell, and that makes 3. The base hit by Counsell and Gonzalez fouling off 2 pitches here in this at bat. And it just comes from just maybe trying to be too careful, maybe trying not to make a mistake. You got to trust your stuff and just go out there and just let it go.
Maybe you hit on it. Knowing who he's pitching against. I don't know. Not that the Diamondbacks, I mean, they're a tough hitting lineup. Ortiz thought he had it, misses inside, and bases are loaded for Mark Grace. So a single and 2 walks here in the first, and Dusty Baker is seeing his team getting an early pick.
Not a bad pitch.
Now Dave Rigetti, the pitching coach of the Giants, will go out to have a word with Ortiz. Grace came up last night. Well, we'll watch this conversation. Maybe he's seen something in a. Doesn't seem that fluid. Ortiz, to me, has been, and I've watched him quite a bit, as you have. Maybe he's slowed down, but he's been a pretty fluid pitcher for a young. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
He doesn't seem fluid tonight. I'm not only saying because he's pitching balls.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's like he's short arming some things. Agree?
I agree. I It's not the Ortiz that I saw at the end of the year last year. And, you know, right now, just looking at him, there seems to be no pace to what he's doing, no flow to him making his pitches.
On the inside corner to Grace, strike one. Grace came up with the bases loaded and one out last night. And Jason Schmidt induced him in the late innings to pop up and foul ground at third base. So Gracie certainly wants to atone for that. Now hitting in the 4-hole tonight. And Ortiz ahead, 0-2. All right, guys, thank you very much and welcome to Pac Ballpark, where the Diamondbacks are in serious business against Russ Ortiz. They have the bases loaded, none out, and Mark Grace up. Ortiz ahead of him 0-2, but in trouble. And Grace chops that one foul. Glad you could join us in a battle between the two teams with the best records in the National League. The only two teams with records of 600 or better. And game 3 of this 4-game set, in which the Giants have won the first 2. If they can win tonight, they'll move past the Diamondbacks into first in the NL West, in which just about everyone's in it. Colorado is back over 500. The Dodgers are a huge factor. And who knows with the Pods? As long as Tony Gwynn's in the booth with me, the Pods are always contenders.
Well, that's the way it normally goes in the National League West. I mean, you know, the Giants are the one team that everybody feels like is going to be in the thick of it. You know, Diamondbacks are defending world champions. Rockies have turned it around. Dodgers are 9 games over 500. And Padres got Phil Nevin back. So anything can happen.
Great swings and misses at that one. So Ortiz pulled the string and a big strikeout here in the top of the first. But he's only just begun, Tony.
That might have been his best pitch of the night right there. I mean, bases loaded, nobody out. Throws a changeup, believes in it, fools Grace, strikes him out. Ground ball here, and he might get out of the inning.
This is Jose Guillen. Now, it's a name that... Let's see what he can do this year. He's a pretty big fella, big arms. Just turned 26 years of age from the Dominican Republic. He played a couple years with Tampa Bay, a couple years with Pittsburgh. He thinks they may have found something. We'll see. He obviously hasn't had much of an opportunity. It's a big spot for him right here in a big game.
It is, and you know, it's not like he hadn't had much experience. He was a quality player with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't know what happened, or why they wanted to trade him to Tampa, but he kind of got lost in Tampa. Here he is in the big league again.
It's a shot that Kent Snow cones over to Martinez at double play. So with a single and 2 walks, the Diamondbacks get nothing, and Barry Bonds has a chance for history. He's third up here in the first. Bottom of the first here in Pac Ballpark. A beautiful, beautiful day and early evening in San Francisco. Our Jiffy Lube lineup presented by Dusty Baker, the manager of the Giants. Marvin Bernard will lead off tonight and play right. Reggie Sanders, a free swinging right fielder, will get a seat against Curt Schilling. That moves Bell down to batting second, but all eyes will be on Barry Bonds because he comes into this game with 585 home runs. Just one shot, a 4th all-time, held by the legendary Frank Robinson. There it is, in case you're wondering, and you come to the park. Wait, how many of these guys have? These are the only names ahead of Bonds. Mays, after he ties Frank Robinson, if he does, Mays 660, Ruth 714, Aaron 755. It's just preposterous. Meanwhile, speaking of preposterous, Curt Schilling has 8 walks all year in 11 starts. He is 9-1. Only 23 men since the turn of the 20th century have won 10 games before June 1st. Curt Schilling can be the 24th. I mean, it just speaks volume for the way he is pitching. He hasn't walked a guy in his last 3 starts, Tony.
He's unbelievable. I mean, he's another guy that's gotten better with age.
Marvin Bernard, the Nicaraguan Lenny Dykstra, swings and misses at that one.
And when I think about Kurt Schilling, that last pitch you saw Marvin Bernard, that's the pitch you better be prepared for. Either you better be able to lay off of that ball or put the barrel of the bat on it, because he's going to come right at you. He's not going to joke around.
Bernard was the starting center fielder here for several years. He lost a lot of that job last year, and this year with Shinjo, doesn't get many starts, so he's excited to be in there tonight, back in his leadoff spot where he usually hits when he was starting. We'll see if they can get a little magic going against Kurt Schilling. Chops this one foul past Joe LaFay, the first base coach. So Bernard, Bell, and Bonds, the B squad, trying to bang one out against Kurt Schilling, which really nobody has been able to do. You saw his numbers. We may put him up again here after this event, just so we can just absorb some of what he's done. Which is a top 2 and 2.
And already here in this first at bat, we've seen a lot of Schilling's repertoire: the high fastball, the high rider, a good little split finger, a little breaking ball. And already tonight he's thrown everything in the sink already to Bernard.
Marvin battling back.
And he's battling.
Just look at this now, all right? 9-1 we told you about. 66 hits and 8 walks, all right, and 1 hit by pitch. So 75 runners total in 81 innings. I mean, that's obscene.
It is. It is.
It's obscene. I'm going to start laying some more on you here, okay? And then we're going to show this graphically a little bit later. Now, he's had 11 starts. 6 of them he's had 10 or more strikeouts, including 17 against the Brewers, the free-swinging Brewers, earlier this year. 2 and 2. And on the 9th pitch to Bernard, he strikes him out. So he starts off with a strikeout. And here's the defense behind Kurt Schilling. And we gave you some of that. Ian is in right field tonight with Batista, and then out, and then Bellucci, who played last night. Counsell at third with Matt Williams. He's taking some batting practice and some fielding, but so there are 3 different guys out there really than you were used to seeing last year for much of the year.
That's unusual for a defending world champion. A new third baseman, the second baseman. Now they got a new right fielder. And it's something that's happening a little bit more in the game. I mean, they're starting to just throw the young guys out there and say, here, go get them.
David Bell gets under this one to left field. And Luis Gonzalez is there and makes the catch. So they're 2 out now, and the Giants first. Barry Bonds. So Barry Bonds is up in the Bond shift. Now this is even a little different. It's almost like the second baseman is the short fielder in softball. Look at this shift. Not only are 3 on the right side of the... See that? Tony.
I don't think I've ever seen that at all.
That's the number 10 position on softball, isn't it? Oh, we were swinging for the downs on that one. Bonds with 18 home runs on the year. 585 for his career. Facing Kurt Schilling. Mano a mano. Whoa. And Schilling, remember, hasn't walked anyone in 3 starts. And Bonds is leading the world in walks. So, what if we see a walk or 2 tonight? What do you think?
You probably will, but I give Kurt Schilling this. He's going to come right at him. He might walk him, but if he's going to challenge him. He's going to throw him the high fastball. Just like he did there. He's going to challenge him. But Barry's got a great eye. He's still taking his walks. But this is not a situation where, unless he has to, I don't think he's going to pitch around him. He's going to go right at him.
2 and 2 to Barry Bonds. No score. Bottom 1. Best 2 teams in the National League. Swung out and missed. So Schilling airs it out against Bonds. 2 strikeouts for Schilling in the first, Those watching San Diego and Colorado, we send you back to your audience, our audience. You can go to the fridge for about 2 minutes, but you better come back if you get a good game between two fine teams. Game on for Curt Schilling. 2 strikeouts against the Giants in the bottom of the first, including Barry Bonds. And so now, Russ Ortiz must go to work. Diamondbacks had the bases juiced in the first. Against Ortiz on a single by Counsell. Walks to Junior Spivey and Luis Gonzalez, but Mark Gray struck out. Jose Guillen hit into a double play, 4-6. Line shot by Kent. Flip to Martinez, and now Steve Finley begins the second. Kent to Snow. 1 out for Arizona. Our Jiffy Lube lineup for the world champion Arizona Diamondbacks. Bob Brenly has Craig Counsell as the leadoff. Gonzalez, of course, sitting number 3. Mark Grace in the cleanup spot tonight. And then you see Miller is back behind the plate. He did not catch last night. And there's a view of Pac-Bell Park. So many of these new parks are just so impressive, but I may be a little prejudiced here, Tony, but I think it's the best of all. I don't know if you've seen every one.
I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of them. I like this ballpark too, but I like Pittsburgh's park too.
Yeah, I've not seen that yet. I heard they did a great job.
They did a wonderful job there too.
Damian Miller skies this. Jeff Kent's been a busy second baseman, and there are 2 outs. So we are really pleased on a night when we could have milestones tonight. Barry Bonds, or in some ways Curt Schilling, and the change in first place to have a guy that has provided us with a few milestones. And I haven't done it formally because you and I haven't worked the game together, although we've been friends for a long time. Tony Gwynn is a member of the ESPN family. You made us a better family.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I don't know about that.
Well,
but thanks.
Well, you certainly dressed the part. Look at
oh,
you.
well, thank you.
I didn't know they had clothes like that in San I really didn't. I mean, I figured it's just all beach wear.
Yeah, well, that's true too, though.
Yeah, I know you have that. I have it too. But I think that, hey, look, this is your division, and you've watched Barry Bonds play for a long, long time, and it's something that we will talk about as the game develops. And not only a Barry Bonds game, because he doesn't want to be talked about. It's the Giants and Diamondbacks here, 2 teams at 600 or better, but what he has done, I mean, it's almost preposterous. You and I were here on opening day last year, as your final opening. And to think about it, you and I were here April, whatever the day was, 3rd, and that he has hit 91 home runs since that point. Okay. I mean, think about that.
I know.
Tony.
91 home runs.
From April, whatever, 3rd to the end of May a year later. Cody Womack can fly. Bonds up with it quickly. See Shinjo back him up back there. Boy, is he quick. But 91 home runs back to him. And you said that day, well, I don't think we've seen the best yet of him. But
yeah.
I don't think even, did we suspect that?
I couldn't imagine him having the year that he had last year, but I think we both sensed it that day. I mean, the interview started out with me, but the next thing you know, there he was. And we sat and we talked for 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. And so I think that probably more than anything gives an indication that he's comfortable, that he's, all this stuff that's going on around him, I think he's comfortable with it. I know he knows he can handle it now, because early in his career, he was a guy who I felt like he was better if he had a chip on his shoulder. And the last year and a half here, we've seen a different Barry Bonds. I think what's happened out on the field is a direct result.
I agree. You know him very well. As Ortiz thought he had chilled in his strike. You know him very well, as do I. And it relaxed. I mean, it's easy to say, but you're right. Everything's swirling. It's translated, and maybe not directly into 73 homers, but putting up with the walks, without the scowl, without the, without the almost, well, I'm going to swing at it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, what he's done, it's almost as if he knows that he's regained the upper mantle. I don't mean Mickey.
Yeah.
Who was an upper mantle also. The upper mantle This is the guy with the 4 MVPs. You know, Junior Griffey and the Big Mac and Sosa and what they. I mean, they're all great.
Yep.
But I think he's shown everyone that, you know what, if you want to look at overall player in the last decade plus, can we start with me, please?
Yeah. And I think that's exactly it. He'll never tell us that. He'll never say that.
Past the driving J.T. Snow, Curt Schilling. You see, he's hitting well. My God, he's 9-1. He's hitting what, close to 300? He's Superman now. We're talking about the wrong. We're talking about Bonds. We're wasting our time. He's the Superman.
And like most good pitchers on the mound, I mean, they can swing the bat too. And then this hole at bat for him, it looked like he was trying to go to right field, trying to hit that hole. He ends up hitting the hole. Gives the Diamondbacks another opportunity to try to get an early run.
10 for 33. So with 2 out, the Womack single. Now Schilling single. 2 on for Craig Counsell, who singled. 5 base runners for the Diamondbacks against Ortiz in an inning and 2/3. Yet, as we speak, it's still scoreless. There's a team that with so much pop, and yet now they go, oh man, we can't score any runs. Of course, they got 10 the other night against the Dodgers. So I mean, it truly is a day-to-day. Now wait a minute, is he out of the batter's box?
Looks like it. They don't call that one though. They really don't.
How far back did you go?
I was in the middle of the box.
You weren't even close.
Yeah. I was never a
close
threat. Yeah, never was. I was more apt to step on the plate on the follow.
You saved the Padres a lot of money. They never put new chalk down when you hit. You were very, very, very economical for them. Right, you were never. That's what I thought. You were not back there. You wanted the pitch to do less, didn't you?
Yeah.
You wanted to get to it, give it a foot less, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It remains 0-2 to Counsell.
Usually when you're in the middle of the box, the only guys that give you trouble usually are the good hard throwers like Schilling or Nolan Ryan, or somebody who could really rush it up there, because you didn't have as much time as Craig Counsell does being out of the batter's box.
Yeah, but Tony, how much time, honestly, how much more time do you have back there? Is it more?
Not
I mean,
just
it can't be.
the snap of a finger. Less than that. But it gives you a little bit longer to look at it.
It was outside, 1-2. Crowd, 40,000 umpires weighing in on that call, but that was clearly outside.
This is a game that's it's for first place, and I know it's May, but anytime you can get in first place, that's a good thing. The Diamondbacks have been in first place, and Giants are trying to take over. The hometown crowd wants to see the home team get back in first place.
Play again in the afternoon tomorrow, and then teams will play in July 4 at Arizona and 2 at San Francisco, so they go the other way around, and then late August, early September, they'll play 3 at Arizona, and then the odd game is 4 in San Francisco. They will not play the last 3 weeks of the season, though. They're done September 8th. And then all the other teams in the division will have a say in how it turns out.
And
or maybe them in first by then.
Yeah, that's how it usually goes in the National League West. I mean, there's always that one team that you're finished with early in September, and then you don't play them anymore. And luckily for fans, it's always seemed to be the Diamondbacks and Giants going head-to-head coming down the stretch, or the Dodgers and the Giants coming down the stretch.
Well, I mean, really, from 96 on, when you guys won, the Padres, and the Giants 97, then the Pods 98. Then the Diamondbacks 99, and the Giants 2000, the Diamondbacks 2001. So it's been a seesaw.
It seemed like the one constant was the Giants. Giants were there every year, whether they won it. If they didn't win it, they were in second. They didn't finish in second, then they won it. And credit, you just have to tip your cap to Dusty Baker and the job that he's done. I mean, sometimes they lose players, sometimes guys get hurt. They always have somebody to go out and pick them up. Last year they went out and picked up Galarraga, picked up Schmidt, gave themselves an opportunity to win it down the stretch. And, a lot of credit goes to this organization.
Everybody moving, and Counsell draws a walk, so he's aboard the second time. So for the second straight inning, the Diamondbacks have the bases loaded and Junior Spivey coming up. In the first inning, Mark Grace with the bases loaded struck out, and then Jeff Kent snow coned this ball from Jose Guillen and flipped to Martinez at short to double up Spivey, who's at the plate now. 2 outs on 4 pitches, Tony, this inning, and then 17 since.
45 pitches already, and we're not out of the second inning. That's not a good sign.
So the names Foltz, Zerby, Worrell.
Right.
Start to get used to them.
Absolutely.
We'll be calling them out tonight.
Absolutely.
And there to his strength, the Junior Spivey, 27 years of age, has really opened up a lot of eyes the way he's played second. I know Jay Bell's hurt, but I don't know how much playing time Jay's going to be getting the way Spivey has delivered. And when Matt Williams comes back, I don't know how much time Counsell's going to get moving back to second. Probably, well, a lot of options for Brenly,
Absolutely.
that's for sure.
For Bob Brenly, it's nice decisions that you have to make. But you know, I think Spivey's probably going to be the guy.
Yeah.
He's the younger guy, the more athletic guy, and not take anything away from Counsell, like I said. But they're going to move.
And that hit him, huh? And Dusty, well, Dusty's got to come out of the dugout, doesn't he? And here he is. It's not going to change anything. They're going to say he made no move. Almost. That was a bizarre hit by pitch, wasn't it?
It looked like for a split second there, I thought it hit the bat. It was a foul ball, and I think Spivey thought, well, maybe that. I think that ball hit me. Let me run down to first base.
Well, you make a swing like that, and it hits you, and you make no move. What's that? Isn't that a?
That's a strike.
Right. That's what I thought. I'd like to see that. Well, now he's going to check. Hey, you know what? And that's what Dusty asked him to do. He asked Wally Bell to check with Mike Fichtner, the first base umpire, and he did. And we'll take another look at it. That was a. I almost thought it was a strike. Look, here it is.
He definitely didn't go. It just caught him on the elbow.
So when you don't go, but he doesn't swing. If he just takes that, it doesn't hit him at all.
Yeah.
Here's Luis Gonzalez with a little popper that Kent squeezes. For the hit by pitch is an RBI for Junior Spivey. Arizona has the lead, but my goodness, they could have had 3 or 4 or 5 by now.
ESPN2 Wednesday Night Baseball is presented by Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube, the well-oiled machine. And in part by Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Cold, down, easy.
Well, you can see a beautiful day on the bay. Chris Berman, Tony Gwynn, bottom of the second here in San Francisco. As the Diamondbacks on a bases loaded hit by pitch a moment ago to Junior Spivey have now taken a lead over the San Francisco Giants. And the way Curt Schilling has been pitching, 1 run is like 5 for many other pitchers. Jeff Kent, the cleanup hitter for the Giants, leads it off. Had 2 hits last night, and the Giants didn't have many. They only had 3. Batista pitched a wonderful game, but the Giants ended up winning in 10, 1-0 against the bullpen. Kent, 1 up, 1 down. I want to bring up your one-time teammate when he was a young pup with the San Diego Padres. And we said it earlier. I think Benito Santiago has found. He's Ponce de Leon. He's found the fountain of youth. He found it,
and he feels good. He looks good, and I kind of forget he's 36 years old now. You know, and I remember him as a young catcher, swashbuckling catcher, throwing from his knees. But he's very comfortable here. He likes San Francisco. Likes playing for Dusty Baker. Is thankful for the opportunity to get a chance to play every day, and he's taking advantage of it.
You know, there are always most valuable players, and obviously Bonds was for the whole league, and what he did, and keeping the Giants, you know, they only lost to Arizona by 2 games. Arizona went on to win the World Series. Benny with a broken bat. We'll have a number over to Counsell, and there are 2 outs. I'll finish that story in a minute. Reese Davis is with us in the studio tonight. Hello, Reese.
Hello, Chris. Braves and Expos got right down to the end. 4-3 Montreal in the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded. Vinny Castilla. I get the rally. The Expos won this thing on a bases loaded double by Vidro in the top half. 4-3 the final. Baltimore and Oakland. It's a 10-5 game. Orioles in control. Tony Batista taking one out of the ballpark. And Terrence Long brings back. Terrific catch, albeit in a losing effort. The O's finish 10-5.
All right, Reese, thank you. JT Snow fouls this one off against Curt Schilling. For the A's have finally won 4 in a row. Well, Montreal, they're back to 500. I like the way they're playing under a guy we'll talk about a lot tonight, Frank Robinson.
I agree. Looking at Frank, he looks happy. He really looks like he's enjoying this job with the Expos, and the kids have responded.
Chopper to Spivey. Snow is out 4-3, so 3 infield groundouts in a 5-pitch inning by Curt Schilling. 1-0 D-backs through 2. Top of the third, and will we see some history tonight? Frank Robinson's 586 homers, one more than Barry Bonds. Robbie, MVP in both leagues with the Reds and the Orioles. He was a Triple Crown winner in 1966 with the Orioles. He was in the postseason 5 times, won the World Series twice. Frank Robinson was the first black manager in the majors with the Cleveland Indians in the 70s, and he's come back on the bench this year with the Montreal Expos, and that's the man that Barry Bonds is now on the heels of. And I would say, as we watch here in the top of the third inning, with Mark Grace, that Frank Robinson with 586 home runs and just what, Tony? 57 hits shy of 3,000. Well, maybe that's one reason. Maybe the reason that Frank Robinson played in the National League when he was a youngster with Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente, all the outfield. Maybe then when he came over to the American League, even though his team was in the World Series quite a bit, won in 66, won in 70, and lost in 69, and lost in 71. I would say of all the players, not just because Barry's one behind him, I've said this forever, he is the best superstar. I don't want to say that no one knows, but that the average fan doesn't have any idea how great he was.
I agree. I think for a lot of kids out there, they probably don't know who Frank Robinson is.
David Bell grabs this one from Mark Grace. And so there is one out, Jose Guillen coming up. Frank Robinson was as tough a player that ever went on the field. Great
Absolutely.
player.
Absolutely. He'd get you the big hit. He'd make you the big play defensively. He'd take you out on the double play grounder. You know, and he managed like that. I mean, you know, these players, they know. He's fined a lot of them. You know, he's
Yeah, but to think that he's the guy that finds.
I know, and that's just. I agree with you. All I do is get the history book out. That's what you should do. I think people sitting at home should get the history book out and look at the company that he's keeping here. I mean,
there's only 3 names above.
Number 4 all time.
We don't see Hank up there. I guess they must feel that Barry won't catch it.
I think
he'll be up there.
He'll be up there real quick. Yeah, real quick. Yeah.
And there's Willie Mays, who's next door in the booth with our friends doing the Giants games when covered by Kuko. Willie is here, and I had a long talk with Willie last night about Frank Robinson. And first I says, Willie, don't you think he's who doesn't know he's a good player? We all knew.
Yeah.
He said, let me tell you a story about Frank Robinson. 1962 is a doubleheader. He still played for Cincinnati against Milwaukee. Robinson hit a triple first game. It was 2-1 to game. And he slid into third. Eddie Matthews, Hall of Famer, great player. He slid into third hard. And Matthews didn't say anything. Didn't do anything, but it was a triple. He kind of, after Robinson dusted himself off, looked over and said, don't do that again. And sure enough, Ortiz beautifully fields the position. Guillen is out, 2 outs. After that, Robinson hit another triple, and he slid into third and nailed Matthews, and Matthews hit him with a couple of rights. Okay, so Robinson left the game, face bandage and everything. I don't know if he left the game, but the second game of doubleheader, he comes back with band-aids and stuff on his face. Home run.
Yeah.
He was a tough hombre, and there it is. I mean, you don't get in this company by accident, right, Tony?
No, you don't. And Hank Aaron leading the way. Just the best of the best on that list. I mean, Hank Robinson, Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson, Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, all of them really complete hitters. I mean, we were having this discussion before the game. You know, I saw Hank Aaron play a whole lot. I saw Willie Mays play a lot. And you have your favorites. Some guys like Willie Mays, some guys like Hank Aaron. But the thing about those guys is they were complete players. They weren't just guys who hit the ball out of the ballpark. They were guys who would catch the ball, field the ball, throw it.
Tools.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Frank, you know, people don't know how good a right fielder he was. Again, players knew. I saw him in the old Yankee Stadium, which is a 4-foot wall. Like, really, the only one left now is that right fielder, Fenway, I think.
yeah.
Go into the seats. I saw K-Line do it, too. He went into the seats. And if you land in the seats with your hand on the ball, then that's a home run. But you could walk, before you fell, batted back in the field of play. Long drive that Shinjo is back. He makes the play. Frank Robinson knocked it back in the field, where then he got out of the seat, could go back, get the ball, and prevent a home run. The guy was great, and Barry Bonds is but you could tie him tonight. Bottom of the third inning. Curt Schilling against Shinjo, who actually, of all the Giants in the lineup, is it's moderate success against Curt Schilling. 3 for 7 now lifetime because you can get that batter on the fastball. That one's a fly out to left. One out. Here's Reese Davis.
All right, Chris, we're going to make a couple of stops. We'll start with the Rockies and the Padres tied at 1. In the second, Mark Kotsay unloading a 3-run shot, his 5th. We'll get you up to date on the Yankees and White Sox in a little while.
All right, Reese, thank you. The Padres.
The Pods.
I like the Pods.
That's
You know what? You know what I have noticed? Schilling now works with the number 8 hitter, Ramon Martinez. There's always respect, like, between the Giants franchise and the Padres franchise. There's a deeper amount of respect. I think, and I'm not going to ask you to say rooting because you don't root for what. But my gut tells me that when the Giants haven't won their division, they kind of are happier when San Diego wins. And when San Diego didn't win it, happier. And I'm not trying to box you in, but I'm just telling you, as an impartial or slightly impartial observer, that there's a lot of respect between those two franchises. Maybe between the managers.
Yeah.
Between the general managers, Brian Sabean, Kevin Towers, kind of the same. Sort of certainly not working with the budgets of an Arizona or LA.
Right.
And what Colorado once had that sort of budget. Right?
Yep.
Maybe that's part of it. Here's Brian Sabean, who is as good as they get. General manager of the Giants. Who has made some big heralded trades and some little ones, like picking up the Santiago. Moves that he and Dusty Baker together have done a heck of a job, but I just see that there's an unbelievable amount of respect between the two. There's the strikeout. Here's Reese.
Chris, what I was about to show you is Yankees and White Sox 3-1 game. Derek Jeter just worked his way home for a walk, and then Bernie's hitting .377 this month, ties it with a 2-run single, spoils Mark Burley's opportunity to win his 9th. And the reason I didn't show you that is because this happened while I was talking. Giambi goes yard for the second time. It's 6-3.
Well, what's wrong with Jason Giambi, huh? Boy, that I guess we don't have to ask that anymore.
I know. You know, they were booing him a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's over.
Yeah, he's starting to warm up.
Oh my God. The Yankees have 100 home runs yet. This is Russ Ortiz, and a good effort by Mark Grace over there by the Diamondback dugout. The Yankees are close to 90 homers, aren't they?
I know, it's unbelievable the way they're playing. You know, they got a new kind of club, a new kind of makeup too.
You know what? You talked about 3 different players here.
Right.
How about new first, new third, new left, new right, new DH
Yep.
on an American League Championship team?
And putting it all together pretty quickly too.
I'll say the Diamondbacks and the Giants both go into Yankee Stadium in the next couple of weeks.
I know.
Won't that be fun?
Yeah. People in San Diego are thrilled that the Yankees and Red Sox are coming out to the West Coast.
It'd be great. I think it's great. I know some people do not, and somewhere over there is where Jason used to play. There's a look across the bay. Our director, Jimmy Moore's hand got in the way there, but Oh, that was a glove. I'm sorry. Was it Scotty Moore? 2-2 the count to Ortiz. So Schilling has gone full to his opposite. 96-mile-an-hour heater up in the zone. There's 3 strikeouts thus far. Will this be 4? Ooh, look at Ortiz get good wood to it. Steve Finley is there. 9 up, 9 down for the Giants against Curt Schilling, looking to become the 24th man ever to win 10 before June 1st. Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Jiffy Lube. Between the 2 top teams in the NL West, the 2 National League teams, 600 or better. World champion Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. Chris Berman, Tony Gwynn, glad you could be with us. Game 3 of this 4-game set. 9 up, 9 down thus far for Curt Schilling. Business as usual, Tony.
No question. I mean, 9 guys up, 9 guys down. He's come right after people. Look at the difference in the pitch count. Ortiz got 64, Schilling's 33.
Yet Ortiz, pitching with bases loaded twice, gave up only run, and that on kind of a goofy hit by pitch.
Right.
Check, swing, elbow hit. So he's tiptoed out of there. Spivey is the one that got hit earlier, and maybe that they're looking at the elbow with bulged up, which he certainly will do. Well, I would say that's exactly what that is.
Well, nothing wrong in this day and age, getting yourself a little pad, a little piece of armor there to keep you from getting that elbow hit. But you know, he's going with the.
But putting that on after you've got flunked,
no,
it's like, I mean, you know, it's like putting on a crash helmet after you've run into the wall.
Right, right.
Should have listened to my mother. Told me to be careful.
Damian Miller done a good job catching. Does a pretty good job throwing runners on, although he's played so much that toward the end of the seasons he's thrown. I guess a lot of catchers, he's punched out there by Ortiz. He's throwing out the runners go down a little bit.
One of the things I like about Curt Schilling is yeah, he's prepared, and look at him between innings here, going through his little chart of how he's going to attack each hitter. Whatever's on that chart really worked in the first 3 innings. I mean, 9 up, 9 down. But he's prepared, and the success he's having shouldn't be a surprise to a lot of people. I mean, he goes about his business the way you should do it in the big league level. Make your notes, do the little things, get yourself in a position where it's easy. All you have to do is go out and execute. It isn't about thinking too much anymore. Just go out and execute the things you want to do.
Tony Womack to left center, coming on is Shinjo and Bonds. Bonds calls him off. Shinjo understands mine. And there are 2 outs. Back to the study. Did you study more as time went on?
I studied less.
You did?
Yeah, as time went on, because you have a good idea of what a guy was going to do, and it's like we talked about earlier. Curt Schilling, when I faced Curt Schilling, I knew I had to be ready to handle a fastball, pure and simple, because if you can handle it, he's going to throw it, and that's his best pitch. He's going to come right at you, and that's what I tried to do. I tried to take the best of what a guy might do and try to figure out what I needed to do.
In talking to manager Bob Brenly and some of Schilling's teammates, most notably Steve Finley, who's been with him since days. No one remembers Curt Schilling was an Oriole, right? So Finley and Schilling go back to the late 80s with the Orioles. So I thought he'd be a good guy to talk to. They were teammates in Baltimore, Houston, and now here. 0-1. Swung on a miss. And he'll face Bonds the next half inning. We'll see. Barry will be up 3rd. Finley says he is much more prepared. Not that he wasn't, but his preparation is amazing. As a matter of fact, he says he will even change his plan to batter while he's out there, but he's so in command that he will even give me a look in center field and move his glove like, okay, I'm going to pitch a little bit more outside, so why don't you move in center, even though the count is already 2-2,
Right.
over 2 steps.
And that's
really amazing.
You're right, but that's what the great ones do. The great ones have that ability to change up on the fly, maybe do something different, maybe, you know, turn around and let Fins know, okay, instead of throwing him the breaking ball I told you I was going to throw him, I'm going to go right at him. So you might want to shift one way or the other. That's what the good ones do.
Schilling has become nothing short of a great one. Ortiz, 2-2 with 2 outs. Schilling flirting with 300 for the season, in addition to flirting with a possible 10-1 start. I mean, we're watching him bat, but I mean, if you consider that Curt Schilling, starting last season, remember he had 91 homers for Bonds? Okay. Last season, including the postseason, 35-7. Hello.
And didn't win the Cy Young last year. I mean, he got off to a great start.
Back to Ortiz. Lollipop throw over to Snow. Schilling is gone, and now Schilling will have to concentrate on Barry Bonds. Bonds due up third for the Giants. Back at San Francisco, Diamondbacks lead the Giants 1-0 here in the bottom of the 4th. Sunday night, John and Joe will be right back here at Pac Bell as the Rockies laid one on the Giants this weekend, sweeping him in Colorado as the club moved over 500 under Clint Hurdle. They come back to San Francisco at 8 Eastern and 5 here on the West Coast. So now the top of the order tries its hand again at Curt Schilling. Bernard shows bunt, bunts it foul. In on the grass anyway was Craig Counsell. I'd like to thank Marvin, watching. Marvin made sure that he brought some Nicaraguan food to us here in the booth. Some churrasco, if I pronounced that right, a little Nicaraguan restaurant in the Mission District. And we're treated to a little, I don't normally go Nicaraguan for ballpark fare, but I got to tell you, I've enjoyed it. Figured if he's bringing us food, he's got to have a hit. I mean, right? That usually is good for a hit if you bring it out.
That's probably was the thinking when the food was delivered.
Oh, he didn't even know he'd be playing. He told me last night, hey, I'm going to bring you some. Really? Dusty must have heard it too. I said, you know what? I have a feeling. Dusty plays those hunches.
Schilling is just sharp tonight. Working both halves of the plate. And this one run that they got, even though they scored it in an orthodox way, the way he's rolling, it might be enough.
Pop by Bernard, infield. Junior Spivey, 10 up, 10 down thus far for the Giants. So he has been, I mean, you know, sometimes you come, here's the advanced billing, you know, you expect to be, you don't have it. Well, how's this going?
I know.
Talk about choking off any trouble. That's obscene.
Some of the numbers.
So we can keep rolling a number every pitch here. No walks in his last, well, now this being his fourth start, you know, his fourth start without a walk. Starts David Bell off of his. He just starts everyone with a strike.
Yeah. And that looked like a breaking ball or split. He just kind of slowed his motion up as he threw it and laid it in there for a strike, and now he's ahead in the count. He can go a number of different ways. Fastball away, fastball in.
Ahead of David Bell, 0-2. Barry Bonds on deck. The Giants looking for any sort of hit, not necessarily his historic 586th home run, which is what he would have if he was able to go deep. They want to go nuts. They want to hit first. Gary Miller, Wally Joyner, thank you. Get back to your game in a moment. Those of us watching Colorado and San Diego. Barry Bonds on deck. Count is 1-2 to David Bell. Giants have no hits here in the fourth inning against Curt Schilling, who has just rung up another strikeout. For Schilling, at strikeout number 4, and here is Barry Bonds. Power versus power. Bonds struck out, swinging at all 3 strikes in the first inning. Passed 10 of the largest names in history last year. Going for the downs on that one this year, he's passed Harmon Killebrew. He's passed Mark McGwire. Can he tie Frank Robinson for 4th all-time? The shift, and I got to tell you, I think Junior Spivey's even farther out in right field at second base, Tony, than he was the first time.
He is. And the way Schilling is going after him.
You know what? I've seen some pitchers come to the plate, and that's where the right fielder
No,
plays.
you're right.
In the air. Counsell, the third baseman, over to true third base. And so Bonds is out. The Giants are out. No hits and 12 shots at Curt Schilling. Those going back to San Diego, Colorado, we'll see you later. Those here, we'll see you in a moment. Yeah, we came for history from Barry Bonds, but could it be another kind of history? Look at the way Schilling is pitching, Tony Gwynn.
94-mile-per-hour fastball right there, high up in the zone. Little split finger. Kind of hung it inside, and Barry just didn't get the barrel to it.
So now a 1-0 game goes to the 5th. This is Craig Counsell.
I think Barry felt like he thought he got a ball to hit, and he missed it. And against the Curt Schilling, that's the kind of reaction that you get.
You don't get that many.
That's right.
Here, let me see those charts. Right? Wow. I mean, that 22 wins last year. Rewind. One of the heroes of last year, Craig Counsell. He's busy tonight with a single and a walk. Wait till Schilling gets back on the mound and start rolling through more of these numbers, because I mean, there's about 12 different ways you can start talking about it. And here is Counsell aboard all 3 times tonight. So let's repeat what we said at the beginning. Here's a guy, you look at the roster, and it's like the 20th name you come to. Craig Counsell, big deal. But, he's kind of a punch and Judy player. He's a 269 hitter. Yet he's always in the thick of things, as in 7th games of World Series, Tony.
Yeah, and nice swing there. Got a ball up in the zone, out of the batter's box. Got the barrel to it. Now, if he's up in the batter's box there, maybe he doesn't get to it, but you know, just getting away with what he can get away with. But he's a catalyst. He gets on base, scores runs, can play 3 different positions. Diamondbacks played hit and run in this situation earlier in the game.
You know, Counsell, I mean, for those that don't remember, he had the sac fly, tied Game 7 of the World Series against the Indians in the 9th inning against Mesa. He scored the winning run, and Renteria's hit off Nagy in the, I believe it was the 11th. Was the MVP in the NLCS last year against Atlanta. When he went, I wrote this stuff so small I can't find it. He had 8 hits. Homered in the first game against the Yankees in the World Series. Had a key hit by pitch in the 9th inning with Rivera and the 2-run rally. I mean, he's around. Long run for Shinjo. Boy, does he get a nice jump on that, Tony. Spivey hit it well, but Shinjo made that look easy. Back to first as Counsell, 1 out.
Shinjo did get a great jump on that ball. They tried to shade him. They shaded him a little bit to right field. You can see he plants the foot and goes to get it. And you like the fact that he got it and he tried to get rid of it. He tried to get it back to the base, get it out of his hands, put it in the infielder's hands, let them make the decision. Good center fielder, that's what you want to do. Get the ball and get it back in.
So 1 out, Council at first. 1-0 Arizona here in the 5th. Luis Gonzalez. Just wonder how you can hit 57 home runs starting a stance like that, but he did it. Certainly will not mean a nicer person. All 162 games last year. Started everyone but one, pinch hit in that other one. 419 total bases last year is the 10th best number all time.
Wow. 419.
100 extra base hits.
That's
a lot.
That's a lot. You're right. You know, any other year he's the MVP. You know, just happened to be a guy named Bonds playing last year. Just a complete season.
Yep. The home run derby in Seattle. Not that I'm trying to put that with anything he does, but I mean that opened up more. I mean, he has a lot of home runs. But who is he? Well. One bone I have to pick with baseball last time. You know what it is.
Yeah, I know what it is.
We talked about it.
And we're not going to talk about it.
You don't have to say why you didn't play in that game. I'll never understand. I said, all right?
I told you, Boomer, I was beat up at the time. There's no way I could have got down the line. There's just
you didn't have to get down the line.
Yeah, you would have, because I wasn't going to strike out. I was going to put the bat on the ball.
I know that.
And I just could not get down the line. If I could have, I would have.
You're very diplomatic.
I'm just being honest.
Should have been in there. We're not talking about a managerial move. We're talking about in uniform, but not in uniform. I didn't get it.
Boomer's been riding me for.
Not riding you.
Well, he's been riding Major League Baseball here for 6 months, 7 months. About me not getting an at bat in the All-Star game. I told you I was asked. Bobby Valentine asked me if I'd like to have an at bat. Barry Bonds was going to hit me in the back of the head with a baseball bat if I didn't go up there, and I told him I can't get down the line. And so, you know, and for me, it was just a pleasure just to be there. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Ball 4, so Council was running. Gonzalez aboard for the second time tonight. 2 on for Mark Grace. It was to see you and Cal there. Was it wonderful, wonderful? That was a wonderful. Randy Johnson going against Clemens, warming up opposite bullpens out there, almost like 2 gunslingers.
I know. Yep.
You and Cal. It was pretty special.
Yeah, it was. It was outstanding. I saw a lot of things in that game I don't think I'll ever see. I never thought they would stop the game in the middle.
Yeah, I know. Grace grabbed by Kent. Boy, Mark Grace continues to struggle. Bases loaded. Landsteiner in a key situation. Popped to the infield. Gracie with bases loaded. Cade in the first. He's really not quite himself, is he, at the plate?
Like a little split finger, just a hair out in front of it, but he stayed back nice. And he's got to wonder if he's just snake bitten right now. I mean, putting the good part of the bat on the ball. He just happens to be going right at somebody, which is the nature of the game. That's what happens. And good hitters like Mark, you know, he knows sooner or later he'll get one to fall and get him going in the right direction.
He sat for a week when Durazo came back. Durazo had several home runs, one of the foul variety against the Giants. And then all of a sudden Durazo couldn't go, and now he kind of shrugged his shoulder. I sat for a week, and I'm hitting cleanup tonight.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of odd. Durazo again hurting. That hand it's okay, but it's not okay. If that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as the year goes on. Grace and Durazo. Meanwhile, Ortiz has allowed 9 base runners. Only 1 has scored. Can he wriggle free again? He's got to, the way Schilling's pitching.
He's been a magician so far. 91 pitches in 4 2/3. Been in trouble almost every inning, and he's made the pitch to get out of it.
Like that. And it's 1 and 2 to Jose Guillen, who he's gotten to hit into a double play and ground back to the box.
That's a pretty good breaking ball right there. And again, I think the first time up, he had the right approach against Ortiz. He was trying to take him the other way and ended up lining into the double play. On that particular breaking ball, it looked like he was trying to pull it, trying to get the barrel head out in front. And this is a situation where you're probably going to get something away, so you want to go up the middle.
And he does it again. Russ Ortiz starring as Harry Houdini, keeping this to a 1-0 game heading to the bottom of the 5th. To say the least, it has been smooth sailing for Curt Schilling thus far here in San Francisco. 12 up, 12 down for him thus far as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Kent, Santiago, and Snow. To face a man that has been nothing short of brilliant tonight, nothing short of brilliant for a year and a half. Kent sends it a long way back to center. Steve Finley goes back. He's back to the track, but hauls it in for a 390-foot out. So the best hit ball off Schilling tonight, but yet another out.
Jeff Kent looked like he got a little slider. Put a good swing on it, but not far enough.
A lot of zeros on that line for Curt Schilling as he now faces Benito Santiago.
He's been very efficient. He hasn't wasted anything. I mean, he's gone after him, challenged a couple of guys. He's challenged Bonds. He's challenged Kent with high fastballs. Just throwing strikes.
And how good was his postseason? I mean, forget that he was 22-6 during the regular season. Starts off pitcher's duel. Game 1 against St. Louis, 1-0. Game 5 against St. Louis goes the route, wins 2-1 to clinch the series. The New York-Oakland series got ballyhooed last year, but that Arizona-St. Louis series was marvelous.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
Right.
Game 3, Atlanta, his next start, 5-1, a win, complete game again. Started Game 1 of the World Series against the Yankees, 1-9-1. Game 4, we'll all remember that. That was the should he start on the 3 days rest, should he not? And certainly Brenly came out, even though they lost that game, having Schilling available in Game 7, Brenly came out smelling like a rose, although a lot of people didn't think he would. That was, of course, the Game 4 was the Tino and Jeter game. And here's that swing. And then Game 7, what he and Randy Johnson did combined was just for the ages. So 4-0 in the postseason, adding from 22-6 in the regular season. That's
pretty impressive.
Santiago, that'll go foul. We're starting to measure him a little bit. Here's something else I want to. Santiago's been the hottest Giant bat. 3 doubles Monday, and last night scored Bonds in the 10th with this base hit off Prince. Benny, 14 of 26 in his last 9 games. 8 doubles and triple. This is Curt Schilling. The count is 2-2.
And that makes a big difference when you're facing a guy like Schilling, because you know you got to be precise. You got to be ready to go, and you got to be. And sometimes you're going to have to hit his pitch. And Schilling is just not a guy that's going to give in.
Good eye, Santiago, 3-2. Giants have had not even a base runner tonight. Any variety.
Normally during the course of a game, you know sooner or later, he's going to throw you something that you can hit. And against Schilling, that doesn't have to be the case. He can go 1 of 3 pitches right here.
Little chopper cut off by Counsell over to Grace, and there are 2 down. 14 up, 14 down, Rhys Davis.
He is pitching a beauty, Chris. Yankees and White Sox. Mark Buehrle had a beauty going for a while. Lost it when the Yankees exploded in the ninth. Jason Giambi, a couple of home runs and a terrific defensive play on Mark Johnson to finish it. Rivera gets his 17th save, 6-3, the final in that one. Tigers finish off the Indians 9-5. They got 8 in the 7th, waited out a rain delay, and got the victory.
All right, Rhys, thank you. The Yankees went into Chicago and just plowed the White Sox. They're playing pretty good ball. One other note on Schilling, as JT Snow is up. Last year, Tony, he pitched 305 innings combined. Wow. How does that happen?
In today's game, that's not supposed to happen.
He and Randy Johnson together, 600 innings, or 603 or whatever, but they pitched over 600 innings.
That's why they're two of the best. They want the ball. And they're not going to back down from anybody or any situation.
Why Arizona in games they started this year, okay, 20-2.
Yeah.
All other games, 11-18. Giants in these 6 games only faced Johnson once and Schilling once. Pretty fortunate.
Pretty fortunate, but you know, sooner or later,
they'll face it.
Exactly.
That's right. Womack the throw to Grace. Snow is out. 15 up, 15 down.
ESPN2's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube, is brought to you by Charbroil, Keepers of the Flame.
Chris Berman and Tony Gwynn looking in on a little history, perhaps. We came perhaps to see if Barry Bonds could tie Frank Robinson at 586, but instead, the story tonight has been all Curt Schilling. 15 Giants have come to the plate. 15 Giants have been retired.
we only had one ball hit hard, too, by the Giants. That was the ball hit in the last inning in the center field.
But it's only 1-0.
By contrast, Russ Ortiz has been in trouble almost every inning. He's had to make pitches to get him out, get himself out of trouble. The line drive double play in the first. He's probably over 100 pitches now.
I mean, you look at 1 run, 4 hits for Ortiz, like normally made, not bad. It's pretty good.
Exactly.
40 more pitches than Schilling.
Yeah.
By the way, Tony. We are being kept track of the pitch count tonight by the Toledo Mud Hen, Marty Aronoff. Steve Finley.
Another former Padre.
Yeah, another.
There's lots of them all around the league. Yeah.
Hey, Finns was so. What kind of an acquisition was he, along with Cammy, for you guys in '96 and '98?
They were huge.
What a huge trade that was.
Really got us going in the right direction.
And how about you got to see him closer than anybody play center field?
Oh no, he all the center fielders I played with, he was by far the best. And he would go get it. Wasn't afraid of walls. Wasn't afraid of diving or any of that. Covers a lot of ground and still one of the better center fielders in the game today.
There's a highlight every night, wasn't it?
He was. He really was. He also knew he had to take care of the old guy in right, too.
Finley hits it to left center field. Shinjo won't get it. Couple of hops against the wall. Finley will stop at second with a double. So the Diamondbacks leading 1-0. Open up the 6th, the way they open up the 5th, the way they open up the 1st with base hits. But this one, a 2-bagger.
Finley's one of the few left-handed hitters that I've seen in all the years that I played that likes the ball out over the plate, but likes to pull it. And he doesn't do that very often right there. He usually doesn't go with a ball to left center. He likes that ball that's up and out over the plate. And he feels like that's the ball he can pull, and pull with authority.
You know, he really been a year and a half since he started feeling good, and you could see it in September and in October. He was very good in the postseason last year, 365. And this year, you see his power numbers are way up. You know, he only had 14 homers all last year. He's got 10 this year. You saw that one was driven. He said he really, his back feels good for the first time in about a year and a half, and you're seeing the results.
Yeah, he's had some foot problems
Yeah, foot. Yeah.
early on last year and got out to a slow start. And as his foot started to get better, his swing and his stroke started to get better. And I talked to him in spring training this year, and he said he was finally starting to feel healthy, and I think his numbers show that. 243 is not normally what he hits, but
this one is up the middle by Damian Miller. Shinjo charging. His throw is way up the line, however, and Finley will score. It's 2-0 Arizona. Well, he came flying in on that, but it's almost as if he didn't position himself toward the plate. It's like lining up wrong in a golf swing. You have no shot.
well, he got to it quickly, but his direction on this throw, he got to it quickly, got his glove down, he comes up, and it just looked like it went straight to his right.
It did.
And he almost hit Finley with it as he's coming in to score. And he didn't like the throw, and he knew that the way Schilling's going, they need to keep this a one-run game. And he just kind of rushed himself on that throw. Really had to play at the plate if he makes a good throw.
It's almost like he was lining up on the tee facing the woods, and the ball went in the woods.
Like he was playing the draw, and
Right.
it just didn't draw. It stayed straight.
Dave Getty on the mound now as the infield clusters around Russ Ortiz. And while there's a conference on the mound, tune in. There's Bob Lee, another outstanding presentations of Outside the Lines, Emmy Award winning encore presentation of Broken Trust, Coaches and Sexual Abuse. That's tomorrow at 9 Eastern on ESPN 6 Pacific. Tim Worrell will loosen up in the pen. Pitch count for Ortiz is over 100, 103. And those balls were hit hard. Double Finley, single Damian Miller. 2-0 on a night when, and in about an inning, I won't say it anymore. This is hit to right by Womack. Sliding is Marvin Bernard. See, he fed the announcers. No one can get a hit on Schilling, but he made a good catch. Put a lot of Tarasco in that sliding catch. Here's, if you're sitting in the upper deck, here's how it looked, Tony.
Bernard comes running in, sliding catch. Gets up, looks to see where the throw is supposed to go.
Curt Schilling at the plate. Oh my goodness, he can't do anything wrong. Base hit to right. Schilling is 2 for 3 tonight. Has he got to 300 yet?
Curt Schilling here had made up his mind he's going to right field. He's going to try to hit the hole between first base and the first baseman and the second baseman. And watch this short stroke. It's kind of steps in the bucket, but that's exactly what he wants to do with the baseball. He wants to hit the ball the other way. Drags the barrel through the zone.
Tony,
easy jog to first.
He's a 300 hitter. He's 314 for the season.
He's doing it all.
And Santiago will go out and maybe just buy a little more time for Worrell, which that looks like maybe, well, maybe not.
I think Dusty's going to come get it.
Santiago walked back, then, yeah, oh yeah. They did this about as well as you can.
Yeah.
Now Santiago back to the plate. Now Baker's out. Now he'll take a, well, let's see, do I get to the foul line? Let me think about it. Do I want the righty or the lefty? Well, the righty's up throwing. There's no lefty throwing. Maybe I'll go righty.
Yep.
And okay, Russ, you've been a big pitcher. You didn't have great stuff tonight, but it's just a 2-0 game. Now Tim Worrell is trying to. Tim Worrell is the new pitcher here with 2 on, and the top of the order, Craig Counsell at the plate. Counsell has been aboard all 3 times tonight, 2 singles and a walk. 2-0 Arizona, 1-run home here. Worrell has done a very good job. He's the, Felix Rodriguez is the 8th inning guy. He's usually the 7th inning, the next setup man, if you will. 25th appearance. He pulls the chain on Counsell a little bit there, and it's 1-1.
And to me, that's the pitch that's allowed him to have this kind of success that he's having, is a changeup. When he played with us in San Diego, his fastball slider. Now he's mixed in a changeup to go along with his fastball slider. Isn't afraid to throw it in any situation. He was 1-0 there at Counsell. Got, guys in scoring position and pulled the string on him a little bit, had him way out in front.
There for a strike in the outside corner, 1-2. Jimmy Miller, the runner at second. Curt Schilling, the runner at first, which brings up an interesting question. He's got this is the last inning I'll use this word. He has a perfect game going, right? 2-5. Now it's only 2-0 game, and he's trying to keep his club in first place. Most important. Misses away, 2-2. Schilling rather be resting, or rather be on the bases, Tony?
I think in this situation he'd rather be running the bases because they had a 1-run lead, and this gives them an opportunity to break the game open, make his job a lot easier to do out there on the mound. So I don't think it's going to bother him. I mean, he's done everything else tonight.
Yeah, he has. Oh, inside out by Counsell. Pass Bell at third. Bond spins, throws. That's going to be wide. Miller scores. 3-0 Arizona. What a job of hitting by Counsell. He said it. He's just a gnat.
Right? Just a pain. He's everywhere. And this is an at-bat typical of Craig Counsell. Battle you. Worrell makes a pretty good pitch out over the plate. Counsell just slices it right down the third base line for a base hit.
How about this pirouette? Whoop!
Berry makes a nice play, but the throw is up the line, and the Diamondbacks have stretched the lead to 3-0.
Junior Spivey up. So Craig Counsell waking up the echoes. He's a Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Spivey is surprised. Counsell really finished the year as second baseman, supplanting Jay Bell, who's now hurt. Williams hurt. Spivey second. Counsell third. Both these guys at the top of the order of this game have been busy, and so is Spivey. Charging is Shinjo. And it's a Schilling running, so he's going to be held up at third by Rodriguez. So now the bases are loaded. Worrell's been hit for 2 singles, and the dangerous Luis Gonzalez is up. There's nobody throwing in the Giants' pen.
We talked about Spivey's numbers at the beginning of the game. I mean, 328, 6 homers, and 24 RBIs. But Schilling is the runner here. He gets the base hit, but Schilling's the runner, and he's not even thinking about trying to score. He's just going to play baseball one base at a time.
Well, he wanted to tag Robin Yount and let him, the first base coach, and let him run for him. He might have scored.
How about for you, Tris, but how weird does it look like seeing Robbie Yount, Diamondback?
I know.
And I know he lives in Arizona, and probably a great coach, and players probably love him, but I'd see him in a Brewer uniform.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like the fact that there are 3,000 members of the 3,000 hit club here in the park, and I got to talk to both of them. Actually, I lied. There are 3.
Yeah.
Willie Mays, Robin Yount, and some guy doing color next to me. Only 25 of you guys did that. 3 are right here. That's pretty special company, my man.
Well, appreciate it.
So this is either the Giants stay in it.
Yeah.
If you can stay in it with Schilling, or the Diamondbacks just bust it open. Schilling has gotten, in the 3 games before this, Tony, 30 runs to work with.
Right.
So not only does he pitch well, he pitches with big leads.
And that's why I didn't think him running the bases in this inning was really that big of a deal, but we'll find out when he gets back out there on the hill. But he's been getting plenty of support.
2-2 now to Gonzo.
And the way he's working tonight, I mean, he hasn't given up anything here in 5 innings, and you would think 3 runs could be plenty, but baseball's a strange game sometimes.
Yes. 2-2 to Gonzalez inside. Nowhere to put him. Yeah, the bases loaded in the first. Bases loaded in the second. And we have to run on a hit by pitch. Bases loaded here in the sixth. 2 runs already home.
And if you're a hitter, you got to love being in this situation. And the guy on deck, Mark Grace, has been in it twice. Worrell buries a little cutter inside. But bases loaded, you got to love hitting in this situation. There's so many ways to be a productive part helping your club win the game. You can, hit a ground ball. It's not a double play and get a run in, a fly ball, a base hit. All kind of ways to help your club.
There's a 2-chip. See, I'm using this golf lingo. U.S. Open's coming up, Tony. I hear you. One of the things I cover. I enjoy it.
We all watch. We all watch.
Luis Gonzalez with a chance to bust this door wide open. 3-2, 1 out, bases juiced. Well, there's 2 outs. The Giants are doing it. They're walking the tightrope here.
It's good overhand fastball. Outside part of the plate.
There's one that Conzo, I think, thought he should have whacked, huh?
I think he felt like that was a good pitch to hit.
Here is Mark Grace, who's been in a funk tonight. He's come up with 3 on and 2 on. His 3 at bats tonight is 0 for 3. Strike 1 to Gracie. He's closing in on 2,400 hits in his career. You see the sacks full. Schilling, Counsell, and Spivey. This is away. He didn't think he missed.
Yeah.
He thought he missed.
Good fastball, but looks like it's out. Nito does a nice job of framing it.
Here's strike 2.
And if you're Mark Grace, being in this situation, you've been in this situation a couple of times tonight and you haven't been able to deliver. Seems like every time you come up there, you're behind in the count. Seems like you're always going to have to hit a pitcher's pitch. And, it's like you said, he's come up on 2,500 hits. He's done it. He's been in this situation many times. And sooner or later, he's going to break through.
Hard to strike him out, although Ortiz did it in the first. Not quite in your class in that category, but he's always pretty good at getting his bat on the ball.
He is. And these are usually the situations where he excels because he can use the whole field. He didn't have to hit the ball in one direction.
Hits this ball to a pretty good direction down the line and right, and it is off the wall. Schilling scores. Counsell scores. Double for Grace. The door just got blown off. 5-0 Diamondbacks.
Well, you knew sooner or later, you keep giving him that many opportunities that he's going to deliver. He's a professional hitter. Got a good pitch to hit up in the zone. And he just throws the barrel at it. And Marvin Bedard did a nice job playing this ball off the wall and getting it back in.
Yep.
Because Junior Spivey, he was motoring and it looked like it might be a play at the plate, but he got it in quick enough to hold him at third.
Well, those caroms can be very odd off that wall and right. You see some brick, you see the out-of-town scoreboard, you see some plexiglass. There's a lot of different caroms. Look at it. Let me get the jacket. Let me get the chart. Right? He was out there a long time. Maybe he was like imagining those charts when he was on the base paths.
Well, I'm pretty sure he knows what's going on too.
Oh yeah.
And I have seen firsthand You know, guy's got a no-hitter going, and he was dealing. But it's going to be a different type of game now. It's 5-0 now instead of 2-0.
Yes.
So.
You know, no one's sitting near him. At least they weren't. I didn't see that shot long enough, but no one was near him before he came to the plate. It's that early, but... And Worrell gets in, but the Diamondbacks bat around. They get 4 runs for Curt Schilling. No one's talking to him because he's been, well... The man of the hour is Curt Schilling in the bottom of the 6th here at Pac Bell Park in San Francisco. There have been 15 base runners tonight. All of them have been Diamondbacks. So you figure out what that means, okay? As Shinjo, Ramon Martinez, and Russ Ortiz come to the plate. Shinjo likes that third base side, I guess, throwing,
Definitely.
hitting. Now, Shinjo is the type of guy Dusty Baker thought might have some success. He actually slapped a pretty good ball to the left because he tried to get a fastball by. I mean, he has a quick bat. He's not looking for power on the fastball. He's just looking to slap the bat on.
It's like we talked about earlier. If you can handle the fastball, this is your guy, because Schilling's going to come right at you. But the problem is, once he gets ahead of you, now you've got to try to figure out what the pitch is going to be in this situation here, 1 and 2. Could be a fastball, could be the high fastball, could be the split.
Well, he got hit, and the Giants have their first base runner. That's one way to do it.
Well, I know that. We know he wasn't trying to hit him.
No, that's for sure.
He was trying to get inside.
Not with a 5-0 lead in a perfect game. I don't think so.
And I think Schilling's reaction after it hits him is he was upset because he had him set up. He was going to come fastball in. So I know you won't see it, but that'll knock the perfect part of it off.
Well, we can say that because it's not anymore,
Yeah.
right? And look at him. Oh, man.
Yeah, he was upset because I feel like he thought he had a good chance to get him out there. He just kind of got away from him, so the perfect game part of it's gone now, but there's still some excitement.
There's still some excitement left because no one's really come close.
I wonder if being down 5-0 with Shinjo run here, because the Giants really haven't been able to get anything going, and it could be a chance to maybe open up a hole, playing hit and run, playing run and hit.
I imagine when he plays pretty straight away at 5-0. Well, Ramon Martinez, and now the no-no is gone. So maybe the time on the base path did do something. Who knows?
Maybe.
So Shinjo and Ramon Martinez are the ones that bust open the 2 doors for immortality, if you will.
Yeah.
You see, it's a funny game.
It is a funny game. This is a split finger that's just a little bit up. Martinez hits it off into the bat, base hit. So now we got a ball game again.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. And see, we'll never know. It's like you said, you don't know if he was running the bases, if hitting Shinjo, being frustrated with hitting him. That was a pretty good pitch.
Yeah, it was.
Martinez hits it off into the bat, cracks his bat, base hit.
Now the Giants look for a little thunder. The pinch hitter is Damon Minor, who certainly was looking fastball and took a rip. He's a college teammate of Russ Ortiz. They were on the World Series champion, College World Series '94 champion, University of Oklahoma Sooner. He's the type of guy, and that ball gets away from Miller. And now all of a sudden, runners at second and third.
Split finger by Schilling, and it looked like something happened to Miller's glove there. Like he didn't get it turned the right way. Bounces off. Giants got a chance to get right back in the ball game with a base hit.
Wild pitch moves both up. Minor had 24 homers at AAA last year, and he had 30 at AAA Fresno the year before. So you know what they're looking for here by sending him up. Maybe just catch one.
Looking to get back in the game in a hurry. And most managers, when you're facing Schilling, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but fastballs, if you can handle a good high hard one, this is your guy, because you're going to get it. And the problem is, once you get to this situation right here, now you've got to figure out what it is you're going to get.
Well, that was a high fastball. But the one thing about all those home runs at Fresno, Curt Schilling wasn't pitching at Pacific Coastal. So Minor will sit, the pinch hitter, 1 out.
I'm sure a lot of those guys weren't throwing about 95 miles per hour, and this is just a good high hard one. That's coming right at you, saying, here it is. If you can do something with it, take your best hack. And he did. He took a good hack at it. Unfortunately, came up with no baseball.
Here's Marvin Bernard looking at strike one. Made a nice catch and right. Now it's Curt Schilling that they can even just get an accidental, blooper to get these 2 runs in. We'll see. Aaron Foltz up again, the lefty, in the pen.
The Giants have to be able to get at least one of these runs in.
I think they got to get both.
I think more like that too, but just for their own, just for that feeling of whether you can get back in the game off a guy like Curt Schilling, you've got to cash one of these runs in. You've seen your pinch hitter up there, and he strikes out, so now you lose one opportunity to score a run without getting a base hit.
Swing by Bernard. That was look.
That's a split finger right there, and sometimes it hangs up there like that, like the ball Martinez hit the center. Sometimes it hangs up there enough where you can put a good swing on it. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it goes like a screwball. Sometimes it goes straight down.
Did he go? Oh, yes, says third base umpire John Hirschbeck. Wow. Quick appeal by Miller. So, interesting for Schilling, who's been a big strikeout pitcher. He only had 4 while the perfect game was on.
Right.
Now that's gone to heck with it. Here's 2 strikeouts this inning, Tony.
And this is the first time he's been in trouble all night. And when he gets in trouble, that's when he has the ability to turn it up a notch. He's punched out Minor. He's punched out Bernard. Both of them were on the good high hard one. It's not that average 93 hard one. It's 96, 95.
This is David Bell, who has been a great pickup. One of those moves by Brian Sabean. Less heralded than some, but just so pivotal, like the signing of Santiago a year ago. They sent Estes to the Mets, John Estes, for Shinjo and Desi Relaford. And then they turned Relaford right around and made it into David Bell, who's been not only their third baseman, but Bonds is on deck. Not only their third baseman, but for much of the season, been their leadoff hitter, although he's certainly not prototypical.
I think Giant fans have been a little bit disappointed with third base since Billy Miller was traded. And I think there was a problem. They felt like they had to address this winter, and they go out and they find a guy like David Bell, who played with Seattle, and was really one of those key guys, one of those guys that were, that didn't get a lot of ink, but did a nice job for him. He's done that same thing here for San Francisco.
He's a ball player.
He is.
And if Bell could get on, even a walk, bases loaded for Bonds. Interesting. If it's this ball to right field, it's going to be a long run for Guillen, and this one will rattle off the wall. It rattles away from everybody. 2 runs home. Bell to third. Triple. 5-2. Those of you watching San Diego and Colorado, little noise in Pac Bell. This half inning, Curt Schilling has lost the perfect game, the no-hitter, and the shutout. Arizona still comfortably in front, but now it's 5-2, and Barry Bonds is up. Struck out in the first, popped to third in the fourth against Curt Schilling. And he went, as you suggested, just swing at the fastball on the first pitch, and he's done that every at bat.
He has, and you know, I tip my cap to Curt Schilling because in this era of when this man comes to the plate, a lot of people have pitched around him, not giving him anything. Curt Schilling is just rearing back and coming right at you.
Oh, paints the corner. Is 0-2 to Barry Bonds. Look at the shift again. The second baseman, Spivey, is really a short right fielder. Guillen is almost on the track in right. 0-2 pitch to Bonds, drilled on the line. Waddles off the wall. Bell scores. Gets away again from Guillen, who's having trouble with the wall. Double Barry Bonds, 5-3.
I'll tell you what, if you're a baseball fan and you like the purity of the game, Curt Schilling rearing back and throwing fastballs, challenging Barry Bonds. Started him out. Fastball fouled back. Fastball paint on the outside corner. Fastball in. And Barry Bonds is one of the best in the business of getting a barrelhead to the baseball. And it was really a weird kind of play because he hit the ball. Guillen started after it like he could catch it. Realized he couldn't. And really made a nice play. Just the throw was just a little bit offline here, but...
Well, that's one of those odd caroms, Tony, as you know out there.
Any ball is hit out there, they could go a number of different ways.
Well, we got a game here, no history, not yet. Back to Gary and absorbing in San Diego, Colorado. And for those of you here, now the Giants with the run that would make it 5-4 in scoring position. A single, double, and a triple off Schilling this inning. And Jeff Kent is up. Had 2 hits last night. Really has struggled this year. And boy, Schilling starts him out with a strike.
Schilling's going to have to regroup here. He's had an inning where he's running on the bases and made one bad pitch to Bell, really.
Splitter?
I think that's the splitter. And that ball looked like it just moved sideways. Schilling, I don't think right now is a real happy camper because kind of gets back to what I was talking about where, you know, he doesn't have to go after Barry Bonds with a fastball. And, you know, but Barry hadn't caught up with any of them.
Kent gets under it. Back it goes to left, but it's not going to be far enough. And a fine running grab by Luis Gonzalez in foul ground. The Giants are back in it. 5-3 Arizona. Back here in the top of the 7th, and Curt Schilling still has the lead. But perfect game, no-hitter, shutout, gone, and he's muttering. He didn't have many innings all year when he's given up 3 runs.
And, you know, he looks frustrated. And I think I know why. I think the pitch to Bonds that last inning was, he wanted to go away with it and got it in. And Bonds did what he normally does against most people. So he goes from complete control to, you know, back to being almost normal.
Aaron Foltz is the new pitcher for the Giants, left-handed reliever. See his numbers. Finley fouls it off. We should also tell you that Shinjo, obviously, where he was hit by the pitch and stung, he's out. And Sean Dunston getting younger, I think, every year. He's playing, I mean, he can still play center field, Sean Dunston.
He probably could still play shortstop.
Yeah, I bet you could. What an arm he had.
Yeah.
Kent. Snow. Steve Finley. Gone. One out here in the 7th. Here's between innings, Tony. Let's have a look.
And him and Miller, he's telling him, you know, I made some mistakes in that inning, but you know, Bonds hadn't caught up with one of my fastballs all night. He fouled them off, and if I put it where I wanted to put it, you know, maybe he swings through it or fouls it off. But instead, he hung it over the middle of the plate. Really, I should say, hung it over the inner part of the plate. And Bonds did what he's been doing here for the last 15 years. He wanted it away, he got it in, and that's what Barry Bonds does as good as anybody.
Damian Miller, his second hit in as many innings. Singles to right with one out here. One thing, though, after losing the perfect game of the no-hitter, at least you can talk to somebody on the bench.
Yeah.
Nobody will talk to you otherwise, right? So
look at
that's the good news.
He's getting ready to hit again. I like what he's done offensively too. He's kind of taken that front leg and stepped in the bucket and tried to go the other way.
He's a .314 hitter now, having gone 2 for 3 tonight.
Well, he not only wants to win the Cy Young, but he wants to win that Silver Slugger too. That's what pitchers really care about.
Well, he's sick of those Brave pitchers
With all those silver sluggers, you know, the Glavine and Maddox and Smoltz, although Smoltz not hitting anymore. Or often, I should say.
Tony Womack up. And hitting continues by Arizona. That's their 12th hit of the night. Dunston will throw it into Kent at second, and runners on the corners. And now here's Curt Schilling in a I don't want to say big at bat, but an important one in a 5-3 game, and he has a chance to clunker to get a 6-3 lead.
No, I want to see what he's going to do, because on both of his hits tonight, he's come up with a man on first base, and he's just tried to hit a ball to the right side. Perfect situation to do it again.
Now we're going to have a pinch runner here, and that will be, well, that's Barajas, the other catcher.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it looks like Miller might be a little banged up there. He kind of gingerly jogged off the field like maybe his back was
Maybe something happened running that
running going to third base. Yeah.
Kind of a wild pitch. Did he wrench it? I mean, who knows, right? Remember that? That was kind of a
weird looking one, although that was the glove.
So the other catcher, Rod Barajas, is the pinch runner for Miller. Obviously, he'll stay in the game in camp. Womack at first. Schilling up. Blocked by Santiago. The lefty Fultz. Speaking of lefties on the mound, the Giants got some bad news today. Jason Christensen, who they were hopeful would not need Tommy John surgery, found out that he will have it. So he would be a lefty that might be used in this situation where he's healthy. And he's going to be gone for 11 to 14 months. That surgery to be performed tomorrow. So Fultz and Zerby are the lefties that they have right now. Stat for you. Schilling pops the bunt, but that'll be out of play. Our Greenwich Mean Time is nothing on our crew in the truck. 12 minutes and 45 seconds. Schilling was on the bases while he had a perfect game. Who knows? That's a long time to be on the bases, period, isn't it?
Let alone when you're pitching a perfect game.
When you're pitching, it's a little different, you know. He didn't have to go more than one base at a time.
Here's a chopper. The shovel to Kent. Can they get the double play? Oh, wow. A run was scored in the person of Barajas. Womack tried to break it up. Martinez and Kent turned the DP to keep it a 5-3.
ESPN2 Wednesday Night Baseball is presented by Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube, the well-oiled machine. And in part by Quikrete Concrete Products. No one makes it easier than Quikrete.
5-3, the Diamondbacks behind Curt Schilling over the Giants here at 7th inning stretch time at Pac-Bell Park. New catcher went into pinch run. Miller obviously tweaked a little bit. So Ron Barajas, who caught the game last night, will now be the new catcher for Curt Schilling. 40,198 the attendance here between the teams with the best two records in the National League. Diamondbacks into the night with a half-game lead on the San Francisco Giants. And how about that? You get to stay out there for about 3 innings at a pop. In the last half inning, the knothole gang, you know, you're on the access way where the ferries ride and everything else. You saw Bell and Bonds almost hit you in the face if you're standing in those seats.
Yeah, you saw the Giants get right back into this ball game.
Here is their hottest hitter, Benito El Duce Santiago, who goes the opposite way. Curt Schilling, we told you, is trying to become the 24th man since 1900 to win 10 games before June 1st. Now, 2 ways to look at it. Surely now the season starts on April 1st. It didn't used to, but guys were going every 4th or every 3rd day once upon a time, and now they don't. So maybe it kind of evens out in this stat zone.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be an equalizer. The most wins. Joe McGinty, Iron Man, 13-0 back in '04. Wilbur Wood, remember that start for the White Sox, 13-3. The big train, Walter Johnson, won 12 for the Senators. Cy Young, Smoltzy, and Grover Cleveland Alexander. Those are the only 6 of the 23 to win more than 10 by June 1st. And the only 3 that have done it in the 90s. You saw John Smoltz. He won 11 with the Braves in '96. The Rocket Man as a Blue Jay started 10-0 in '97. And Pedro 2 years ago started 10-1 as a Red Sox. I mean, 10 wins before June 1.
It's pretty good company, that last list.
Santiago just over the bag. Long throw for Counsell, and he does it. The Giants are looking for the ball maybe to hit the bag and take a wild bounce, but nothing doing. And Counsell made the play.
This ball looked like it landed right on top of the bag, and normally when a ball hits the bag, it bounces left or right. That one went right over the top. Long throw by Counsell, throws out Benito.
So Benito is out, and J.T. Snow is grounded out twice. He's back to that. Guys who have won 10 or more. Fast starts that you remember. Danny McClain, you know, with the 31 wins in '68, was only 8-1.
Wow.
Now, that's surprising, isn't it? Roger Clemens, 86, did not have the 10. Remember that great year he had. Fernando did not have 10. And it puts into perspective. You remember those starts of those guys. Vida Blue had 10 in that meteoric '71 season. I'm going to give you the oddest name on the list. It's a teammate of yours. 85. Remember somebody that's
Andy Hawkins.
10-0.
10-0, I remember that, yeah.
Did he also have a no-hitter? Not as he yanked as he yanked?
Yeah, he did. That,
I mean, if Schilling keeps going, I don't know that anyone could win 30 games anymore. I mean, I guess you could. These guys have 35 starts, but you'd have to be amazing. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see that again.
I don't either. I don't think in this day and age of 5-man rotations and big salaries, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, you know.
Of course, Jack Chesbro with the New York Highlanders, 41-12. I'm going to go on a limb and say we won't see that ever again.
41-12.
41-12. Wow. Well, Randy Johnson, he'd be willing to try for it. He and Schilling, they're 20-2 in the games these two guys started this year, overall. Oh, and Snow just, that's got to smart. Corkscrew.
This is one of the most painful things in the game as a hitter, is to take one off the inside of your foot, the top of your foot.
You never did that, did you?
Well, many
Far up
times.
at the batter's
Many
box,
times.
That's it, so you wouldn't. That
Well, you
wouldn't happen?
knew what you had to do, so you didn't. But just like a lot of these hitters, many times I went up there with that shin guard on there, and either on the top of your foot or on your shin, and oh, those hurt.
Schilling's not that concerned about
No, not at all. Not at all.
Spivey. Grace. 2 outs. So it's as if he's settled back down. Okay, on the bases for almost 13 innings. Oh, I hit a guy, I give him a hit, I give him a couple runs, I give him a triple, I give him a double. Okay, can we get back to business, please?
Yeah.
I hit into a double play. Now I'm annoyed. Now I'm just
Real.
gonna pitch.
You're right.
Right, I'm off the bases. I hit into a darn double play. Now let's pitch again.
Yeah, that double play kind of snapped him back.
It did.
And I don't think he was real happy with that. He settled back in and he's throwing strikes again.
This is Sean Dunston, who went in for Shinjo after Shinjo was hit by a pitch to break the perfect game by Schilling in the 6th. So Dunston, just one of those guys that you'd like to have on the ball. Play a lot of positions. His clubhouse presence, tremendous.
Absolutely. And you know, the thing about Schilling, though, is he's got his chart over there, and I know somewhere on that chart it says Sean Dunston, fastball hitter. He's thrown 2 split fingers right here, and he's probably going to drop another one at him.
See, you study the same charts. So back to business. A perfect 7th for Curt Schilling. On his 11th. Back here in the top of the 8th inning, Arizona 5, San Francisco 3. Game that's had quite a bit. A perfect game for Curt Schilling going for 5. The 6 was like a burp. I mean, something happened there, Tony. He lost composure. He lost everything. Not everything. Lost the perfect game, the no-hitter, shutout, and then back to business in a 1-2-3-7.
He looks a lot better now.
He looks great.
He was a little upset last half inning. He's probably thinking it through. Yeah, I've got the 3 guys out in this inning. Who am I going to face? What am I going to do? How am I going to attack him?
Meanwhile, speaking of attacking, how about, again, Counsell and Spivey at the top of the order? That'll be out of play, although Bell will give it a look. Counsell is 3 for 3 and a walk. Spivey is 1 for 2, a walk and a hit pitch. So you add up numbers 1 and 2. Counsell and Spivey are on base 7 of their 8 at bats. Meanwhile, here's Schilling saying, "Thank you guys," setting the table.
And that's what they're going to do. It's even without a Matt Williams, a Jay Bell. These guys come in.
It's ripped to Bernard. Boy, has Counsell been on it. So 1 out here in the 8th. Between innings, Tony Gwynn, Schilling upset.
This one, I can't figure. I know they weren't going to try to score him in the inning that he ran the bases. And
The third base coach.
yeah. And this is a situation
Eddie
where
Rodriguez.
he's visibly a little frustrated here with something.
He actually gave up runs. He hasn't done that often. What do you mean I gave up a couple runs?
I can't give up a couple of runs.
Barry Bonds actually got a hit. Let's see what Spivey's done now, raising his average to 330. Lost in the shuffle. I mean, I even forgot it tonight. We talked about it before we went on the air. Going into the night, Barry Bonds led the National League in hitting,
Yeah.
341. He may only get up 330 times, okay? I mean, plate appearances will be 5-something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
He could get up only... That's preposterous.
he's got 61 walks already. We're just in May.
This game is... Junior Spivey has come up with a different way to get hit just about every at-bat. So 3 hit by pitch in this game. Spivey's been hit twice. One kind of on a check swing and one on this, which was a... Oh, that actually did hurt. He's not really...
No, it's like
he's not really making a huge effort to get out of there.
Said, hey, I got my front foot out of the way, but the back one just kind of stayed there. And the ball hit him right in the foot.
Yeah, Wally Bell thinks it's pretty funny.
The first time up, he didn't really try. Didn't look like he really tried to get out of the way, but hit him right on the elbow.
Okay.
They even appealed to the umpire to see if he had maybe swung.
Maybe his hero is Don Bailey.
Maybe so.
Ron Hunt.
Ron Hunt. That's.
I tell you who else. I don't know how many times he was hit by pitch. Actually, I can look that up. Frank Robinson.
Yes.
I stood on the plate.
In an era where being dusted off was a normal thing.
Oh, yeah. Drysdale one time almost took his head off. And then the next pitch, home run. Frank, here it is. Hit. God, I get everything else but hit by pitch. Do you believe that? Might be the problem with getting everything on Frank Robinson. I was hit by pitch. I gotta think he was up there. At any rate, 2-1 to Luis Gonzalez. Spivey at first, 5-3. See. That Baylor and Ron Hunter has got.
Gotta be. Because not only is he getting hit by the pitch, but he's showing no emotion, no pain, not rubbing it.
It's a second base thing. Hunt was at second base. Craig Biggio's second base. Good job of inside outing from the Tony Gwynn School of Hitting is Luis Gonzalez. And so there are 2 on with 1 out. It's copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. Cannot be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Counts and description of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. You show your support for your favorite team with the MLB Authentic Collection. Log on to MLB.com to order your player quality merchandise now. A little housekeeping is done. Back to the game. Oh, you see, now what a segue. There's actual Giants merchandise. You can log on and get that.
If you're a Giant fan.
Even if you're not one.
You can get anybody's.
You can get Tampa Bay Devil Dogs. That is,
that's the old Giants stuff.
That's the Jerry Garcia Giant wear. That's definitely dated to Candlestick, that stuff. I went out there yesterday, Tony.
Did you?
But yeah, I always go out there when I come into San Francisco. Have a word with the park. You know I do.
Yeah.
Out there, you got to pass it from the airport into the city. Might as well get off the exit. Have a word.
That's a good idea. I might have to do that next time.
It's nice out there. Past the diving Kent. Here comes Spivey. Grace is delivered again. So Grace, with a 2-run double in the 6th, has come through here with a big base hit in the 8th. And now it's a 3-run lead for Arizona.
It's like we talked about earlier. You keep throwing that good hitter in that situation. And all it's going to take is one time for him to deliver, which he did, was the double his last at bat. Fastball up in the zone, out of the plate, just hits it right back up the middle.
You know what? Arizona has 14. They have 20 base runners. They had 20 base runners, 14 hits, hit by pitches, walks. That's a lot. The fact that it's only 6 runs with 20 base runners.
Exactly.
Is amazing.
Well, Russ Ortiz battled and got himself out of some jams. Worrell gave up some runs, but still had ducks on the pond.
Yeah, this looks like a double switch, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Maybe a triple switch.
Could be.
Tom Goodwin looks like he's going to go to the outfield for Dunston. Is it T-Rod coming in, Felix Rodriguez? We'll tell you when we get back. Wednesday Night Baseball brought to you by Jiffy Lube here in San Francisco. Between the best two teams, best records in the National League. First place Diamondbacks and a half game behind are the San Francisco Giants. In a game 3 of this 4-game set, first 2 won by San Francisco. The Diamondbacks lead behind Curt Schilling 6-3. T-Rod, Felix Rodriguez is the pitcher. Tom Goodwin is the center fielder. It'll be the double switch. We'll explain that in a moment. So with runners at the corners and 1 out, Rodriguez's job is to keep this ball in the infield by Jose Guillen. Finley on deck. Felix last year was tremendous. You saw there's Goodwin in center field. Felix has really struggled this year. When he's on, Tony, and you know, he has been a great setup guy for Rob Dent. But that ERA, and I know it's still May, and you know, the reliever's ERA is going to be inflated if you have a few bad outings.
Yeah.
But an ERA of 5+ is not what we've grown accustomed to seeing from him in the last couple of years.
No, we haven't. And you know, you described it perfectly. He's been the perfect guy to set up Rob Dent, coming in and you know, throws 99 miles an hour. He's got a good slider, but for whatever reason, he just hasn't been as sharp this year. And this is a good chance for Dusty to get him in there and get him in a situation where maybe he can get him out and hold him and give his team a chance to get back in the ball game. But
there have been some talk that temporarily, not permanently, Tim Morrell would move into the setup role, but not off tonight. He was hit hard by the Diamondbacks.
And it seems like the problem, especially for a lot of guys, especially for a lot of these relievers, is location. You know, the pitch that they want to throw, you know, I think they have confidence in throwing it. They're just not putting it where they need to put it. And one of the things with Rodriguez is that he put the ball where he needed to put it. And thus far in this at-bat, he's gone 3-1, and he really hadn't located one good fastball.
Gets that to foul back. By the way, Shinjo, they took x-rays of his left arm with contusion where he was hit by the pitch by Schilling, but x-rays were negative, so that's some good news tonight for Dusty Baker. The 5th of 19 meetings for these two teams. Curt Schilling sitting for a long time. Pitching change. Runners running around. Chopper. Play by Martinez. No chance for a double play, so the fielder's choice by Guillen will score Luis Gonzalez and make it 7-3. It wasn't Schilling running down the line. I mean, they look, but no. And that's perfect. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. Either a fly ball or just a slow chopper with 1 out.
Get the run in. Get the insurance run in. It puts the Diamondbacks in a position where now a grand slam is what it's going to take to sign him, to tie it. But you know, one of the things that, as a coach now, you don't like to see is that runner running down the line and looking. Just put your head down and go as hard as you can.
What do you mean as a coach?
Well, you know,
You're going to give me some Aztec speak here?
Dabbling a little bit on the side now.
When do you fully take over?
I don't. That's a good question. I hope soon. You know, our season is officially over now, and hopefully they'll give me the word sooner or later.
Good luck in that endeavor. I know you like to teach baseball. I know you enjoy working with. I don't say college kids are youngsters.
Yeah.
They might be able to learn a thing from it.
They're youngsters, believe me, especially when they first start out. But it's exactly what I wanted to do, and so I had the time of my life this year. It's really a lot of fun. But now you get the responsibility of being the head coach, and we'll find out how much fun that's going to be too.
Yeah, you have to start being an umpire.
Oh, man.
Steve Finley swings through that, and that's Felix Rodriguez. So, San Diego State College, did you ever think, I mean, in the latter days of playing, did you think, man, I'd like to do this, or this just kind of hit you in the last year?
No, my brother and I, Chris, my brother and I, we talked about it, man, 10 years ago.
Right.
And, yeah, I never really thought about it because I thought Coach Dietz would be there forever. And when he decided that he was going to retire, it just worked out perfectly. I was going to retire at the end of the year and got the opportunity and cashed it in. So I feel very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in. I mean, I get to coach, which is what I want to do. I get to do some major league games, which has been fun, and I'm learning a lot here. It's a great gig. I'm in the perfect position.
How is the Mighty Quinn?
My son, you talking about?
No, his brother.
Oh, my brother. Oh, that's right. I
He was the
forgot
Mighty
nickname.
Quinn, Chris.
He's doing really well.
Chris the Mighty Quinn.
He's scouting with the Padres.
Remember, I gave you 3 choices.
Right, I remember.
Wait, what did we go? We went with win one for the Gipper.
Win one for the Gipper.
Because you like it as a team.
Yeah.
Throwing from his knees a la the old days, but not getting it there on a good jump by Guillen. Santiago cannot throw him out, so stolen base Guillen. Count 2-2 to Finley. Well, it's like no shot.
Yeah, Guillen got a great jump.
Ball in dirt. How about a fall away throw
No.
on your knees? Look at this. I mean,
Kind of slipped on his knee there.
and look, he's still, oh, maybe we can get him. But he is exuberant, isn't he? I mean, Benny is, remind me a lot of Tony Pena with the
Yeah.
exuberance behind the plate.
Right.
Love watching Tony catch back there. Just kind of a chuckle fest. 3 hours.
I laugh when I think about Tony Pena because he was just one of the best, the most competitive guys. And he'd sit there and he'd have that chaw in his mouth, and you come up to the plate and he'd take his mask off and say, "Hey, Tony, how you doing?" And then give you some right on your shoes.
Absolutely. Well, we wish him luck with
all the best.
Kansas City. I saw him playing Double-A. He was in the Eastern League when I was covering it. And he played with Buffalo, who was the Pirates Double-A team back then. Throwing out guys from his knees in Double-A. I said, you know what? I think this guy's a man among boys. He's probably about 19 at the time.
Yeah.
Dusty's not worried about Tony Pena.
No.
No.
He's trying to get out of this inning.
It's not exactly a chuckle fest for him.
No.
Bob Brenly, who once was a coach under Dusty Baker here in San Francisco. Looking for some more runs. Finley skies it to right. Marvin Bernard makes the catch. But the inning is over, but not until. The Diamondbacks get 2 more for Kirk Chilly, who now looks to close out for the 4-run lead. Well, the Diamondbacks lead at 7-3 in the bottom of the 8th, and I guess your big Aztec Tony Gwynn bobblehead doll. I guess they assume you have the job. You don't think you have the job?
Well, you got to do it.
No, wait a minute. Let me give you the signs now. All right. This is hit. This is hit and run. This is take. Right?
You got to do what you got to do.
This is, I don't know, Tony. This is
not good.
Well,
you can say it. But see, there's something to be said about this unity.
Look at this thing.
That's
Black
the traditional,
unit,
yes.
Like
yes.
I remember the football unit.
Don't worry about the face so much. Just worry about
the face is. I haven't seen a bobblehead doll that's close.
There you go. And
have you seen a face on a bobblehead doll that's actually?
I don't know. I saw Ichiro's. His was pretty good. Was it? They had the little hair and everything. It was great. But,
ESPN had one with me on it. I got it. Well, actually, they gave me more hair than I had. I can't argue with
you. You normally don't like your own bobblehead. And see, with ours, it was a way to raise money for the baseball program.
You gotta go with it.
That's what? That's why we did that. But if I had a say-so in it,
taking one for the team.
That's exactly right.
One for the Gipper.
You got it. Exactly right.
Meanwhile, Eli pitching in the Arizona bullpen, Mike Myers. Yeah, baby. He's the lefty. With Young Kim. They have the, boy, there's some serious sidewinding going on in that bullpen down there. Look at that.
No matter which side of the plate you hit from.
And you know what? Their AAA team, aren't the Tucson, aren't they the sidewinders? Aren't they the sidewinders?
I think they are.
So this is perfect. Mike Myers and Young Kim in the bullpen, warming up. And the Tucson Toros, I think they're the sidewinders.
I know this when both of these guys throw in the bullpen, Myers has to be on the right.
Yeah.
Kim has to be on the left.
This ball is hit by Ramon Martinez to right field. It's pulled in by Guillen, and there is one out. Schilling in a bid for his 10th win before June 1st. Here's his numbers tonight. Strikeouts, he's gotten to 10 almost every start. He may not get there, although he's got time. 99 pitches. And now in that double switch, here's Goodwin batting in the 9-hole. And the pitcher, Felix Rodriguez, will bat in the 7-hole from scoring at home, and I know some of you do.
Yes,
They are the Sidewinders, the Tucson Sidewinders.
good call.
And look at these guys out there. I mean, we're watching this, and they're both throwing at the same time. But you're right. If they were the other way around,
Well,
they'd break each other's arms.
It'd be trouble.
But look at this.
It would be trouble down
Ow! Jeez, get on the other rubber, will you? Hey, how about the job Kim has done since that World Series? The guy's been unhittable.
there. He has. He's, you know, and it looks like he's got a little better velocity, too. I mean, we've been clocked up 94, 95, and as soon as I say that, there's a ball rolling on the infield.
Well, that ball didn't come fully from the side. They must have clanked at the same time.
I wonder if that's something they talk about down there, dude.
Goodwin, long run for 3 Diamondbacks, and it's off the... Yeah, the ball boy didn't really make a move, but I don't think they would have got it anyway. It was off the Vince Coleman Memorial Park.
Yeah. He's kind of, the ball boy's kind of pinned in right there, and he's just like, maybe if I just,
there was nowhere for him to go.
if I just stand here, nothing will happen.
Yeah, I didn't. Hugh.
Well,
Ball
he's not a
girl.
ball boy.
See? How could we miss that? And I tell you what, they're so, you talk about enthusiasm. Often they have the elders, the senior citizens do it, and whoever the Giants rotate that around. There's nobody with more exuberance at the park than those down the line.
And it's not an easy job.
No.
It really is, especially in this ballpark.
See, on the first base side, with the mitt ready to go. It's a big glove.
That's a huge glove right there.
That's an honorary first baseman, isn't it? That's a Stretch McCovey fielder's glove.
Well, you know, when you get that opportunity, you don't want to miss it.
No, you don't want to miss it. Everybody's safe down the line, including her, where she's sitting.
I think she's sitting over there because those two guys are warming up, too.
Meanwhile, Goodwin swings and misses, so Schilling could get to 10 strikeouts. That's number 8. 6 of his 11 starts, he's had 10 or more.
Even though it's an 8th inning, he's still throwing that high fastball. And he's wasn't real happy about the location either.
You know, if you eliminate the 6th inning,
Yeah.
he's got a perfect inning. That's odd.
Yeah. But other than the 6th inning, there hadn't been much for the Giants to talk about.
No. Bernard.
Should be like He's throwing Marvin Bernard that high heater all night long. And Marvin's trying to get on top of it. And this is a tough pitch to get on top of. But as long as he sees you go after that high fastball and you don't get on top of it and put it in play somewhere, he's going to keep it on.
Two and one to Mavin Banat. Came to this country 12 years of age, growing up in Nicaragua. I think from someone who came from Nicaragua, he came to the United States. It was fitting that he played college ball at Lewis and Clark. I mean, because he went on his own long journey, didn't he?
He did. And, you know, he's really made himself into a professional player. I remember sitting in Arizona airport with him, talking about what it was going to take for him to make that Giant club, and he was always confident. But he's been battling tonight. He really hadn't had all that much to hit. And so he's trying to force the issue a little bit. He's chased the high heater and got a little splitty down there, right? Put his barrel on it and fouled it off.
Barry Bonds will come up again. So maybe we do get Arthur Street.
Maybe so.
Schilling's going to nail this down, or that'll be enough at 8 innings. I mean, they want to save pitchers when they can. Don't
Yeah,
you think?
I think this might be his last inning. If he has any more trouble with Bernard here, this could be his last inning.
I think it probably will be. I asked Brenly about it before, and it's not like they purposely, okay, let's get him out. I mean, but he does, when he has a chance to get him out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, lately Schilling's been going 7 with all those runs and getting out. And I tell you what, if this is his last inning, 7 of his 8 were perfect with 9 strikeouts. Well, the handshakes for Curt Schilling, as we suspected, that looks as if that's his final inning. And if this lead holds up at 7-3, he will be the 24th pitcher since 1900 to have 10 wins before June 1st. And that is no small feat, because there's some guys on that list. We showed you some of the names. Felix Rodriguez begins the 9th inning against Rod Barajas. One pinch run from Miller. So that's his first at bat of the night. Womack, and then they'll bat for the pitcher here, and then you'll get another. You get either Myers or Kim. I would think it's Kim because he's the one still standing out there. Some of the guys on this list. We showed you Rocket, Pedro, and Smoltz. With the unlikely name of Andy Hawkins. Greg Swindell is Cleveland at 88, began at 10-1. We're looking at Schilling's hand, but I think it was all the writing he was doing on his notes. I'm just going to read some of the names that Schilling's going to join. Jack Morris in 84, when you remember that Tiger team. Grady Jones wasn't quite a teammate of yours, huh? 76, got off to a great start. Vita Blue in 71. Juan Marichal here in 66 was 10-0. Rapid Robert Feller, 10-2 in 1941. Grover Cleveland Alexander in 1920 was 11-2. Walter Johnson, we showed you that. Rube Marquardt, one of the great names of all time, but a Hall of Fame pitcher with the New York Giants in 1912. Cy Young, Red Sox. But the name that jumps off this list, the 23 pitchers that have won 10 or more games before June 1st, Babe Ruth, 1917.
Now you know
Tony, the guy was
right. Now you know why he was considered the greatest.
10-1 in a year that he finished 24-13. And then, as I remember, he hit a few homers later on in his career.
Yeah.
Right?
You see Curt Schilling getting his I guess you call those notes. Probably call it get his novel out and write some last minute notes in there.
Pop up to short right. Bernard's been busy. cooking us meals, making catches. But I tell you what, I don't think there's anyone who follows this sport that didn't root for this kid to come back strong this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think,
Really, you know, just
yeah.
as a human being.
Yeah, you feel bad for him because, you know, and really to take it back even further, yeah, he had his trouble in the World Series, but he had some trouble in the playoffs and towards the end of the season, too. And when those situations like that where you're giving up home runs late in the game, you kind of, sometimes you have doubt. And watching him pitch this year, I don't think that's the case. I think he's pretty confident because he's throwing strikes.
Well, he's been, well, here it is. 2-0-12 saves, opponents hitting 198 off him. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I know it's late and we don't have to make a left-hand turn real quick. ESPN is fired up to bring you that 7th game of what's been a tremendous series between Colorado and Detroit. Now, there are probably not that many people up in Hartford or certainly in Raleigh area, but if you are, congratulations to the Carolina Hurricanes on making the Stanley Cup final. Womack leads slow dribbler, that's got it. We used to claim them in Hartford, the Hartford Whalers. They weren't capable of that. Let's just leave it at that. The Hartford Whalers that I know, and I was a season ticket holder of, had won one series in their life. We gave them a parade anyway. In '86, they lost in the second round, but that's okay. Now the Whalers, now Hurricanes in their 5th year in Raleigh, beat New Jersey, Brodeur, and Montreal and Toronto. It's like a dagger in the heart of hockey. And there they are in the finals, waiting, rested, as Colorado and Detroit go at it for a 7th game. So our congratulations to the Hurricanes and their players, some of whom we got to know in Hartford, some of whom we enjoyed watching. Womack strikes out. And we get Barry's last at bat here tonight. Will it be historic? Will there be more history on Sunday night? Colorado and the Giants right here in Pac-Bell, John and Joe. The cast of thousands. Sunday Night Baseball team. 8 Eastern, 5 West Coast, 2 Hawaii. Who's going to give the Hawaiian times to them?
They watch a lot of sports over there.
Absolutely. And then they go out for the afternoon to the beach. I mean,
exactly.
It's great. Football in the morning. We're done for the day.
You know, and we thought, being on the West Coast like I am, it's, I always thought it was a great thing to get up in the morning, watch the pregame shows, and then watch the game. But you got to get up at 7 for game time in Hawaii.
Game time?
Yeah.
5 for our show.
Yeah.
Some of my friends are just getting in. They watch to see what color tie I'm wearing, and then they go to bed. Dave DeLucci is the pitcher. And these two guys in games they've started this year, Diamondbacks will be, unless the Giants rally, 21-2. That's the good news. The bad news is the other games are 11-18. These two guys last year, that's their record. You can see the rest of the starters. These two guys last year, 43-12.
They lost 12 times between them.
What was the matter with that? And postseason, 9-1.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be kidding me.
They're not fun.
I mean, that is old-time baseball. There it is. Look. I mean, that's ridiculous. 665 strikeouts. Hello. That set a record, right?
Yep.
Beating
43 wins between those two, 49 for the rest of the club. And now you know why the National League West is so difficult to compete with this club, because you got to figure out a way to beat those two guys.
as the game drags on, Wally Bell just had his bell rung. And we'd like to welcome those of you that have watched Colorado and San Diego, Chris Berman and Tony Gwynn. If you're into the Padres or fans of baseball, San Diego won that game pretty big tonight. Huh? So So glad you could join us. Barry Bonds will bat in the bottom of the ninth. Felix Rodriguez trying to keep it a 4-run lead. Barry will be up second to face Yun Kim. One man warming in the Arizona pen. So the Diamondbacks, if they win it, will be a game and a half in first. Gallucci, the pinch hitter, walks, and that'll bring up Craig Counsell, who has been nothing short of a pest. Walk, excuse me, single, walk, single, single, flew out to right. Top of the order on base 8 of 10 times between Counsell and Spider.
And the 2 outs that they made between them were hit hard. He lined out to Bernard the last time. Spivey lined out to, I believe it was Shinjo then in center.
That's the 21st base runner for Arizona. They played 1-0 in 10 innings last night. Different sort of game. One hitter by Batista through 9, but he had nothing to show for it. So again, it's like, God, how well can you pitch, but yet you don't win the game?
Yeah.
Not started by Johnson and Schilling.
And exactly, and that's what a lot of the other 3 members of the rotation, I'm sure, say a lot of times. They pitch well. They pitch well enough. Sometimes they don't get a decision. Sometimes their teams don't win. But you know, that's what you need. You need somebody to step up there and deliver, just like Johnson and Schilling have. Maybe not at the same rate, at 20 and 21 and 2, but you know, give your team an opportunity to possibly win a ball game for you. Keep your team in the game and go your 7 innings, 6 innings, let your bullpen take over and get it done.
Well, just to show you, I mean, this is the 5th game between these 2 clubs. Randy Johnson started a game in Arizona, won by the Diamondbacks. There's a throw by Santiago, and he nails it. Gallucci out throwing. Bonds is coming up second, so just hang around. Could have a little history. Do the Giants have some magic? Kim's coming in. Bonds coming up. We'll be back. Bottom of the 9th inning, the Diamondbacks behind Curt Schilling lead the Giants 7-3. And Barry Bonds, is what he's done tonight against Schilling. The first, okay. 4th, a pop-up on a pitch that he looked like he could have done something with, as he did with this in the 6th. Boy, that ball got out there in a hurry.
He got to it. He really tried to go away from him, and he left it in the middle of the plate, and he hammered it into the corner for a double to knock in the 3rd run.
So this is Byung-Young Kim from Korea facing Bell, Bonds, and Kim. He's behind 2-0. There are the numbers we talked about. So hits and walks combined 30 and 29 in the 3rd inning. Pretty good. 45 strikeouts. So look at that free.
Pretty tight, too. I mean,
yeah.
You know, not many hitters. I got to imagine not many right-handed hitters see a guy like this. A submarine type. Could run it both ways. Fastballs in and out.
Barajas will give it a run, and boy, that's a marvelous effort. That's a marvelous effort by the catcher, Barajas.
See that ball run in on his hands there, and Barajas makes a great play. Gets to it, makes a sliding catch.
Here's Barry Bonds. Lifetime homers 585. His next one would tie him for 4th with Frank Robinson. Frisbee in there from Kim for a strike. Schilling, Sam coming. 1-1. Bonds began the night the leading hitter in the National League at 341. Folks keen to see a historic home run. There's still time. Inside 2-1.
Barry still is an amazing hitter because facing Schilling, you got good pitches to hit. Backdoor breaking ball. And now you're facing a different guy, different release point, and he's still being patient, still waiting him out, still trying to get a good pitch to put his bat on.
Count is full at 3-2. Throw it over, right, Tony?
Might as well challenge him here. He's thrown 2 backdoor breaking balls for strikes. See if he can, no, change up. And it really doesn't matter, you know. Barry's eye's good enough. He's gonna recognize what it is probably and try to put a good swing in it.
And for the 62nd time this year, Bonds has walked. He set a record last year with 177. Schilling, give him the nod. He went right with 10 pitches, 8 in the strike zone. Schilling went right after him. Tim gave him a couple. I mean, no question about that. But Bonds patient enough to grab the walk.
And this is the high rider, the fastball. And Bonds just as calm as ever, takes his walk, takes his armor off, heads on down to first base.
Well, Jeff Kent will flare one to right. Holds up there for Guillen. 2 outs, and the Giants are down to their last out in the person of Benito Santiago. Tomorrow afternoon they'll play, not long from now. 14 hours. They'll tee it up again at 12:30 local start. Kirk Reeder 6-2 for Dusty Baker. And the champion Diamondbacks get Rick Helling 4-5. Of which they're expecting better things and think they'll see it. I've always liked him. I know he's given up a lot of Gopher balls.
He's one of those guys that eats up a lot of innings. And you know, that's what you want. You want guys who are going to keep you, just try to keep you in a ball game.
Benny trying to bunt his way on, but instead Kim grabs it. And the Diamondbacks have won this 3rd of the 4-game set and now lead the Giants by a game and a half. No home run historic for Bonds. Curt Schilling becoming the 24th pitcher since 1900 to win 10 games before June 1st. So the Diamondbacks beat the Giants 7-3. NBA Tonight is coming up. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Tony Gwynn, I enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it too.
Good seeing you up with us.
Have to do it again.
That's a deal.
Okay.
For Tony Gwynn, I'm Chris Berman. For all of us here at Pac Bell Park, good night from San Francisco.